Hello, hello. Good morning, everybody. How are we doing today? We're just having a little bit of aftermath from the whole experiment. Hope you guys saw that experiment results last Saturday, of course. Dave Feldman, our boys Chase and Joe Rice, the vegan to carnivore experiment. Captain Patty B, welcome. Welcome to the chat today, Patty. It's another beautiful day to be alive. Today we have Izzy Davis on the show. It's our first time ever corresponding, speaking. Never met her in real life. Of course, she's an ex-vegan. She is now a nutritionist, I believe. And we're going to have a conversation. She's mostly vegan these days, so I'm curious to hear about what she has to say about the carnivore diet, what she has to say about the experiment. I'm not sure if she caught any of that. But we'll see how it goes. What's up, vegan deterioration? The peasant's daughter. Hello, I have no idea who Izzy Davis is. She's actually pretty big on YouTube a few years ago. She has a 96,000 subscriber channel and like 40 something on Instagram. So she's well known in the vegan community. She used to date Jackson Foster, aka Plantriotic. So that's the story behind that. What's up, Planetary Farms? Such a narcissist, man. Such a narcissist that I can't even fight back against the trolls anymore. I have to let them go, man. David Wolf, I agree, you are the best. Best salesperson of all time. You think Izzy looks great nowadays? Why do you say that, Tribby? And why didn't she look good before? Tell me. Clown Mazard, how you doing, buddy? First of all, how do you guys show up to every single live stream? I mean, I thank you, truly, from the bottom of my heart, but how do you do it? Are you all at work or something? Beauty Pie Felix, he's another epic regular. So glad to have all of you guys, especially right when the stream starts. Who else am I going to hang out here with? Am I going to talk to myself? No, I need some action. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to get Izzy on the show, and we're just going to let it rip, as usual. We got about 30 minutes till she gets on. She's coming on 10:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. She's still at work right now, so she'll be home. Shirt's kind of wrinkled. I'm not feeling that at all. Got to do a little stretchy stretch. Planetary's at home. Good. Patty was at work. East Coast time, right, Patty? You probably wake up real early. Very well. Definitely got to let that shit go. I work at Ho. Oh, baby. What'd you guys think of the experiment? I need some feedback. A lot of people had a lot to say. I did a poll on my community tab, which I can probably link here for you guys. If you haven't already voted, please vote. So I'm going to start using the community tab. Somebody said they want to hear from me more during the week. I'm happy to do that because I was actually thinking of going the Twitter route, and we're wearing the same shirt and repping a few wrinkles. Beautiful. See, I have the opportunity to upgrade my camera setup to like the Logitech Brio 4K. Beautiful. No, I don't want that. I'm rocking low quality camera. I don't want all the details. It's not about me. It's about the guest anyways. Ooh, okay, we got a good question from Jonas. Hold on one second. I just have somebody who messaged me 1 minute ago on the vegan to carnivore diet swap video. They said, I'm going vegan now. There's been so many people who think that the vegan blood test results were like this slam dunk victory. I want to comment a little bit about that. So, as we know, clinical data, meaning how people are actually reacting and feeling with the treatments of certain things, right? Clinical treatment, clinical data is sort of the field level research. And in the experiment, neither guy felt good eating the opposite person's diet, right? So we need to understand that. Neither of them felt good in their day-to-day lives. It's my hypothesis that Chase did not have enough time to adapt to the keto macros he was consuming. And it's my hypothesis that Joe, he was either eating the wrong foods as a vegan or simply his system wasn't able to cope with the amount of fiber, the amount of carbs, and what have you. So neither of them had good clinical results. They didn't feel good. It wouldn't have been a good treatment for them to continue long term. Maybe in the case of Chase, you could say that because, we do know it takes a long time to adapt to keto. That's why the next experiment will probably be 60 or 90 days, hopefully. And so we had the blood test rolling, right? With Dave Feldman, he got multiple opinions from other doctors in order to supplement his own opinion on the blood test. So we had including Dave, we had 5 experts weigh in on the blood tests, right? 4 doctors. One of them was Carnivore. One of them was Dave, who's got a ton of blood testing experience. He has like 90-something blood tests personally taken on himself. So moving on from that, we had like a keto doctor. No, we had a carnivore doctor. We had a vegan doctor. And then we had a couple other doctors, right? So let's dive into a little bit more about what they said. So Chase, ironically, the vegans are saying this is slam dunk victory for veganism. Joe's blood tests all got better. They're ignoring the fact that Chase had improvements as well on his carnivore diet, whilst not feeling well. So you don't hear the carnivore saying, "Oh, it's a slam dunk victory. Chase, he had better triglyceride to HDL." Well, so did Joe. So it's really funny. You have one side being kind of reasonable and almost like, how can we design the next experiment better? Let's talk about it. What went right? What went wrong here? You got the vegans coming in. Thanks for making the world vegan. Oh my God, your blood tests just prove veganism is amazing. Guys, it's just proving how desperate they are to get a result. It's only a 30-day blood test. Like, this wasn't to prove anything either way. This was an experiment, also a social experiment, to see if we could get a vegan to break their ethics for science while another carnivore ate their diet. That was the foundation to the experiment. I wanted to see if a vegan was even willing to try it. And God bless Chase for coming forward and actually stepping up to the plate and wanting to be part of this. He has bigger cojones than every other vegan that I know at this point. If you are a vegan and you are struggling even 1% and you're not willing to try an experiment like this, where you have somebody who's going to then eat your vegan diet, so there's literally no ethical bykill there. What is your excuse for not trying this? So that's my takeaway message for the experiment. I don't think it was a slam dunk victory either way. You even have carnivores. Some people are upset with me and Dave for saying, hey, the vegan results weren't so bad. That's not a big deal to say. Even if the vegan results completely shattered the carnivore results, which they did not, it still wouldn't mean anything. It's a 30-day N=2 experiment. You see who's able to stay objective, and you see who's able to not stay objective. I'm here to be objective. People have always been criticizing me of not understanding the science, not knowing the science. Guys, we are making science. What can you say about that? And we're going to do another experiment. Hasn't been pieced together yet. So if anybody is thinking about joining up to do something like this, please contact me on Instagram @DrewMorg. Let's talk privately about this. I've had several people come forth and offer, let's say, alternative ways to do the test. One of those people, I'm going to spill the beans a little bit right now. For those of you who are here early, you're going to get a little bit of sneak peek here. Durian Ryder has expressed some interest in being involved in the next test. He's not going to go carnivore. He's not going to consume animal foods, but he is willing to do a vegan keto experiment. I found that a little bit interesting. He had a nice little twist on there for me. So we'll see how that works. I can get an athletic omnivore and put them on a carnivore diet, let's say, and then run those tandem. Something like that. Haven't worked out all the details, but I'll let you guys know when that does happen. Good morning, Elise. Jack McAnaspy says N equals 2 for 30 days with no crossover is not a study. That is correct. But it is data. If we put enough of these together, if we string enough of these tests back to back to back, we get enough people, we get more people involved, we get closer matches. Chase is a 28, 29-year-old guy. Joe's in his early mid-40s. They both work completely different jobs. Joe works the night shift. Joe's coming off of 100+ pound weight loss. So are you going to go tell Joe that his diet wasn't working for him before? The guy was like 300 pounds or something like that. So clearly what he was doing was working for him. It's just, we're just going to have to do more tests. It's all good. And if the next test shows a slam dunk carnivore victory, you're not going to hear me say, you could clip this. You're not going to hear me say, oh my God, carnivore guaranteed so much better than veganism. I mean, I know it's better than veganism just by the way that I feel. Apparently that's not good enough for people. And that's what matters to me. Again, I could see 10 vegan tests in a row that show the vegan numbers improving. And at that point, I might start to say, all right, maybe I want to include more fruits and fibers or something like that, which I already include some of. But it wouldn't be, oh, I'm going to go vegan now. That's never going to happen. It does not matter what happens at this point. I've already been vegan for 4.5 years. I know how it works. I know how it feels in my body. I've done so many different variations of the diet and given them their fair chance, usually about 6 to 9 month run each. So anybody has anything to say about that, please curb it. I am the expert on veganism in my own body. That's it, period. I know a lot of people have been wondering about these Candida support pills I've been taking. I am done with the 60-day pill regimen. And it's interesting. So while I was taking them, I was having a very, very, very low bloat factor. Almost everything I was eating was producing very little bloat. Now what I'm noticing, and this may be because I am eating a little bit more fibrous fruits and vegetables, is that there's a tiny hint of bloat now. But only when I'm really overdoing it, like tortillas, beans, and rice. You know what I mean? So take that for what it's worth, as well as I don't think I'm going to be able to go back to veganism after this. Let's just say that. That was my point, was I was curious to see if this was going to heal my gut and allow me to basically consume whatever fruits and fibers that I wanted, any starches, and just have no ill effect. And that doesn't seem to be the case. So let's put another notch on the belt for the comfort of consuming carnivore. There's just no question about it. When I consume an animal food-based diet, there's no bloating. There's no gas. The digestion is phenomenal. It hasn't changed since day one of trying it. That's just the way that it works. It's just the way that it works, especially in my body. And I think it will work that way for most people too. Jonas says, hey, Drew, true that veganism won the blood test. Mike the vegan said so. See, again, that you're the reason why I brought that whole rant up. But it's just so interesting that you have these big name vegans. It's almost like they've been, and I won't say that I purposely did this to them, but it's like I set the seed, I set them up for failure in the future. Anybody who's claiming a victory on the vegan blood test right now is going to be forced to accept it when the carnivore blood tests come back better in the future. Because they're putting so much weight on the current blood test from that last 30 days, they're now going to have to eat their words because they were so serious in putting out videos and content about how good the vegan blood tests were, that when the carnivore blood tests come back, where are they going to be? What are they going to say? Do you really think that they're going to make videos about, oh my God, oh, we were wrong? No. They're going to stay silent. It's going to be crickets. And the silence will be deafening. And either way, I don't really even care what the blood test showed. This is for you. This is for the audience. I've already done the vegan diet. I didn't watch Mike's response, by the way. I'm going to get into that in a second about all these videos being made about your boy Drew Morg in a second here. Hey, Drew, have you heard of celery juice, the medical medium? Yes, I have actually embarked on a celery juice cleanse with Megan Elizabeth when I lived in Hawaii. She was a big believer and a big fan of medical medium, and we made celery juice for like, I don't know, a month straight, let's say. And I love the taste of it. It was great in the morning, but I don't think it did anything for me specifically. And I don't think that there's this miracle healing thing going on with celery juice that medical medium is pushing. I think it's quite a gimmick. And if you really knew more about that guy, which I don't want to get sued legally, but next time I get Megan on the show, we'll talk more about medical medium. So please stay tuned for that. If you see the Megan Elizabeth episode pop up, which I want to get her back on the show soon, then just stay tuned for that, because I can't really speak about that. But let's just say that we have some insider information on that guy. And since I'm like third-hand information on it, then I don't want to speak about it. Jack Manaspy says, I've eaten, I think, but fruit for 14 days and reduced my LDL from 230 to 83 and nothing else changed. That would call that a win. Fruitarian is not healthy regardless. So about the LDL and the cholesterol in general, it's so easy to manipulate either way. So why do so in theory, you could be carnivore and ruin your LDL, right, guys? Ruin it, wink, wink, and go sky high with it, which, by the way, total cholesterol numbers show lowest all-cause mortality above 220, but let's not get into the numbers. Vegans, they are the ones with the expert science, right? But if you were able to change your LDL that low in 14 days, then what is there to worry about? How can that be such an important marker if you're able to switch it in like 2 weeks? T-Tribby says, vegans get a short-term benefit like fasting. Yeah, I agree. I think that's what a vegan diet primarily does. If you're like bloated, overweight, if you're primarily overweight and you can't get a hold of your food cravings, then I feel like the best thing that you can do is lose that weight, whatever it takes. If it's a vegan diet or a carnivore diet, do it. Your blood markers are probably going to improve across the board. You're going to feel better. So therefore, you're going to think a vegan diet is good for me. Trying to catch up with the chat here. I'm way behind. Vegan keto is leaps and bounds healthier than high carb, low fat vegan, especially for women. Yeah, but vegan keto T-Tribby is basically impossible to do. Who's doing that? Nobody's doing that. You better make DR film himself actually eating vegan keto. Yeah, we'll see what we can get him to do. I want the next group of experimenters, the next guinea pigs, to be social media people, because I feel like they're going to be vlogging it and naturally vlogging it the whole time. The first round, I wanted people who did not have a social media presence, because I didn't want there to be, I didn't want them to be trying to launch their YouTube career off of this thing. And I didn't get the sense that either of those guys, Joe and Chase, were trying to do that. They're just regular guys that happen to tune into, health YouTube stuff. So whether they, get followers off of this is not, that's great. That's fine. But I didn't want that to be the goal. And another thing too, people think it's just so easy to find a vegan. First of all, finding a vegan is difficult in the first place. And then Chase, I made sure he was a pretty healthy vegan to start with. He had no known digestive issues. If you guys remember when we did our first interview with him, he had no known problems on the vegan diet. That's what I wanted. I didn't want a vegan that was coming to me on his last leg. And see, that just goes to prove the unbiased nature that I had approaching the test. I wanted a good vegan example, and that's what we got in Chase. So I'm very happy with that. Izzy looks hot from the thumbnail. Well, you can let her know, Tyler. Maybe you can score a date. She might be single. I'm not sure. Good luck. Zap Blast says, perhaps a seasonal diet is best, and the reason you see some gains in blood tests from both. I think I wanted to talk about something. And this does have something to do with Mike. JEM, hey Drew, you feeling okay? You're looking a little under the weather today. No, I'm feeling great. Thank you. Got a little bit bad sleep last night. The dog was in a lot of pain last night. He was yelping and wincing all night. Something happened to him. We're not really sure. He pulled a muscle or something yesterday. It's always scary when you have a big dog like Rottweiler. They have hip issues. And we've had a Rottweiler before that we've had to put down because of hip issues. So, yeah. Sucks. So we're always worried. If he starts yelping, we're like, oh God. Curious to see if Chase will eat meat going forward. I'm not sure. He did say he's going to go back to vegan. So I think his wife was quite happy that he went back to veganism. And I think everything all is well, on their side of the world. Newly Awakened says, all I know is I went back to eating meat and dairy, cut out most grains and starches, and feel better. Psoriasis and energy improved. Ate a bowl of brown rice recently, and quinoa next day. Itched like crazy. Interesting. Yeah, I think that for skin issues, the high meat diet, we got to be careful not to call it the carnivore diet. I do recommend at least a high meat diet, and not high meat in the sense of rotten meat that other guys are into, but like a high percentage of your calories from meat. Jesus, I can't believe we have so many things to explain. Just eat the meat. Eat a lot of it, and you'll feel good. Most likely. Thank you, JEM. Thank you for not trolling me. I know you're up and down these days in the comments, so I am banning a lot more people in the comments, guys. I know that I've welcomed in the past a lot of confrontational nature with guests, with people in the comment section. I have expressed that I have a very sick side of me that enjoys arguing and beefing with people in the comments. But after being slapped on the wrist with YouTube demonetizing a couple of my videos and them basically saying that some of my stuff was hate speech, I know that it was vegans coming through and reporting it as harassment for the Bobby and the Elise video. I'm taking a more neutral line approach these days. And also, and hopefully that doesn't upset some of you guys that are here for a lot more confrontational nature. But I will not just take crap from people, but at the same time, I'm not going to go out of my way to respond even. Mike the Vegan made a video. Foot Soldier made a video. Freaking this guy, Logan Blake, he's just obsessed with me. And you got just more and more people showing up. Small channels, bigger channels. They all want a piece of the action. And you know what? Eleanor Roosevelt has a great quote. Something about... Let me pull it up for you guys. If you guys haven't heard this quote. Eleanor Roosevelt quote. Should have had this pulled up. Listen to this, guys. This is something that I've always believed, truly. And I had to get back to this. Great minds discuss ideas. Average minds discuss events. Small minds discuss people. Small minds discuss people. So I've had one video where I popped off. I had a big old rant, talk shit on Freely, Mike, John. I hadn't talked shit on John Venus. I talked shit on Freely, During Rider. Had During Rider immediately on the show after that. Discussed it, and that's it. That's it. So all these people are now taking shots, taking so many shots. Man, what are they doing? What are they doing for the conversation of health? It's like they are the pawns in the game. You need to understand this. They are the pawns in the game of health and just putting this information out there. Basically, what they're doing is they cannot offer anything above the drama, the entertainment drama value. All they can do is talk about other people and attempt to character assassinate them. They're literally the lowest level. Like if you were going to go into a nightclub, they're the security guard in the front that just stands there and watches the line. That's it. They have no control over anything that goes on. They don't know. They're not out there conducting experiments. They're not out there bringing experts onto the channel and talking to them, trying to get to the bottom of this thing. They're not experimenting on themselves. They can't even break out of veganism for 2 seconds and try a carnivore diet for themselves. They're locked inside, and what they're trying to do is muddy the water as much as possible because that is the only thing they have to offer to the world, basically. As far as YouTube goes, maybe in their personal life, they're great people, but on YouTube, they're not able to break beyond that barrier. All they can do is speak about people, and you see that with their content. You see that with their content. Michelle Lowe made a video. Yeah, exactly. And what I'm doing with these people now is just like the United States does not negotiate with terrorists. I do not watch their content anymore. I do not watch their content anymore. Not even a second of it. So enjoy it. They can make all the videos they want. I don't even care, man. I literally do not have enough time. Literally do not have enough time anymore to watch all the videos that are being made. I'm sure Mike the Vegans is probably the only one worth watching because he's going to put some effort into breaking down the blood test. But as I already get the gist of it, I go read the comments real quick. I scroll through. Oh, okay. Vegan victory. Got it. Yawn. Yawn, bro. Boring. And there was a time where I absolutely loved responding to these people. I loved bringing them up in my video and responding and defending myself, but there's nothing to defend. I'm already this is going to sound narcissistic. Now you guys can call me narcissistic properly. I am moving beyond you people. I'm like the vegan. He seems okay to me, but the little peasants, the little peon guys at the bottom that are just trying to ruffle feathers and get attention. Moving beyond you, man. I'm not going to have you guys on the show. I'm not going to talk about you. I'm not going to respond. Done. I try and stand behind what I say, T-Tribby. I'll at least explain myself. If I say something and somebody calls me out on it, I will absolutely explain myself. Jacko, he just texted me back. I got to read this. Hold on. My nose is itchy. This damn wax on my hair. It clogs my pores. Loves Gibson says, no, meat-based means someone whose diet is majority meat. Carnivore diet is 100% animal products. Don't say you're on the carnivore diet if you're eating some plants too. Correct. Do not say that you are on the carnivore diet and be eating plants. I agree with that. You could say you're like 95% carnivore, you're carnivore-esque, like your boy Drew over here. I mean, regular people aren't sitting down to a meal of steak and milk on a routine basis. I do that about 4 times a week, amongst other things. That's just one of my staples. And I love going to the store and just getting turkey and just eating straight turkey or eating straight chicken. Regular people are not doing that. So I'm still way more carnivore biased because it feels really good. And I love how much protein you can get in one meal. Any plans to get Vegetable Police on the show? Absolutely. I would love to get him on the show, but that guy is elusive as a ghost, man. You cannot get a hold of that guy. I emailed him a couple times. He said he was focusing on not dying. He'll let me know when he wants to come on the show. So there you go. Hey, thank you, Peasant's Daughter. Thank you for the words. We just have to move on. I've realized that continuing to focus energy on these people who that's all they have to offer, that's their goal. Their goal is to suck that energy out of you so that you can't keep making good quality content and moving your message forward. And my message is this. Do what diet works best for you. Let's take a look at the blood test. Let's take a look at the results. There's so many data points. It's not just one thing. It's not just one thing. It's not just one thing on the blood test either, right? You got to take the whole blood test. And this is the other thing about the blood test. Vegans are claiming this victory, but they just glance over the fact that Chase is the one that had the doctor's recommendation to have a follow-up with his own personal doctor. 2 of the doctors, I think, on the recommendations that Dave told us, they said Chase should go see a doctor immediately because of his low thyroid. Or because of his thyroid numbers. I can't remember if it was low or high. But either way, you're a 10-year vegan and you have thyroid messed up. That is telling just right there. Vegans just sweep that under the rug like everything else. Okay, we're going to have to message Izzy. Perfect. She's going to be about 10 minutes late. That's not a problem. Sorry, guys. Just texting her. Let's see what Jacko says. I just got a fresh text from him. Okay, so it looks like he says he's down, but it's not going to be Saturday. So I'll have to schedule that one. You guys like that live scheduling? T-Tribby says, I remember when Mike the Vegan analyzed Sean Baker's blood test and pointed out how Sean had the testosterone of an 80-year-old elderly man. Yes, but Sean had a good explanation for it, and I'll let you do what you want with that. Okay, he had low testosterone. Fine. The guy is 6'5", like 240 pounds, literally setting world records in his age group on that damn rowing machine. And on top of that, he's deadlifting like over 500 pounds. And you've got Mike the Vegan. No offense, Mike the Vegan. We're about the same size right now. I haven't been lifting. But you've got Mike the Vegan criticizing low T? Like, what? Get out of here. Again, the clinical results do mean something, aka the field results, how they are actually responding in the real world. You can't just look at blood tests. That shows you how silly blood tests are sometimes. Oh, he's low testosterone. Obviously can't build muscle mass, but the guy's 240 pounds. Literally rip your leg straight off your body. Vegan Deterioration says, someone commented on a video today that they had to take thyroid replacement due to veganism. Yeah, that was what was recommended, thyroid replacement for Chase. That's serious, man. And the vegans are just like, oh, don't eat. Let's not even. I bet you Mike the Vegan didn't mention one time about the thyroid situation, did he? And I haven't watched his content. That's just a guess. That's just a guess. Again, unethical veganism as another term of mine. Jeez, narcissist. Got to call these guys out. We're creating the content here. Just creating the link here, guys. Give me 1 second. Oops. There we go. All right, we're all set up. So once Izzy's ready, she'll just pop on the show as usual. And that should be that. All right. Beautiful. Uh-oh. Ah, that was not her email address. Sit tight, sit tight. How do you forward shit in Gmail? Why do they make it so difficult? Okay, we'll have to make a new email. Whatever. All right, now it's sent. Holy moly. Sorry about that. That was painful. Okay. Back to you beautiful people. I'm so sorry. Vegans gloss over triglycerides. Yeah, so good point, Raksha. So I wanted to point that out on the blood tests. So actually, both Joe and Chase's triglyceride to HDL ratio improved on the opposite diet. I would have thought that Chase's would have gotten better on the carnivore diet, and I would have thought that Joe's would have gotten worse on the vegan diet. But in fact, both of them improved. What can you say about that? Ryan from Happy Healthy Vegan is trying to manipulate his next blood test to look better by restricting and avoiding certain foods. Very interesting. Very interesting. Isn't Sean Baker almost 80 in about 10 years? No, he's like 50 in his 50s. The guy trains like a madman. Yeah, don't do math early. That's not my thing either. Jack Jackson says something, maybe on the trap bar. Maybe he pulls 500 on a trap bar. Not a conventional deadlift, though. But still, man. Like, he's very impressive, especially for his age. Just, I mean, on any given day, Sean Baker, regardless of age, can step into any average gym and be the strongest guy in there. Think about that. So even if he is in his 50s, he's still the strongest guy in there. And then you add in the fact that he's in his 50s. That's very impressive. Yeah, so I don't think that the T has necessarily much to do with the overall clinical performance, right? That's just one data point on the blood test. Again, why we can't put everything into the blood test. But vegans will pick one good thing on the blood test, say veganism is the best. Let's move on. Stop killing animals, you murderer. Right? I hear you, Jack Jackson. Thank you for clearing that up. Yeah, so we're just waiting for Izzy now. She's going to be home in a few minutes. She's just coming off work. Give her a few seconds. I think she works at a spin place. So hopefully she's feeling good. Why did Jem say I looked under the weather? Why are these people trying to throw me off, all right? You say these weird things. It hits me like 20 minutes later. I'm like, under the weather? What? I'm going to read a comment to you that I got from this woman. And I may throw on a vegan deterioration video too, because I kind of want to watch it. Anti-aging vegan to ex-vegan transformation. I kind of want to watch the new video. So this chick, she wrote to me, Judita Maria, in my comments on the vegan to carnivore experiment video. This is what she has to say. After quitting being vegan, I tried to go full keto, but I kept losing weight and energy. I couldn't eat enough fat because it would give me a sick feeling in the stomach. I did it for around 2 weeks and then added some carbs, potato, sour bread, vegetables, and this is what's working for me the best. My high-fat diet is butter, small amounts of olive oil and coconut oil, fish, eggs, shrimp, bits of cheese, bits of beans, potatoes, bread, and sometimes pasta. I limit the fruits, grains, and legumes because it makes me bloated. As a treat, I enjoy vegan ice cream because I digest it better than dairy one. It took many months to find a healthy balance for myself, but I feel I achieved it now. I am naturally a slim person, 112 pounds, 5'4", and 32 years young. All my health problems went away, and I feel and look much better than when I was vegan. Beautiful. Beautiful. That's great. I mean, that's the type of viewer that I am cultivating on my channel. You want to eat vegan ice cream? Go for it. Great. You want to eat some beans and even some oil? Whatever. You know what I'm saying? If all of your health problems went away and you're feeling and looking good, then it's working, right? That's kind of my whole thing. My nose is so itchy. Why does it always itch, guys? This oil, like this wax from this hair product, it like gets in the pores. It's terrible. Nah, they're not in my head, man. It's all right, love skips. I'm just being dramatic. It's all good. All right. Sleepless night. What are you talking about? I feel great right now. I even woke up early and did the whole morning routine. It's all right. It's good. Okay, I want to watch a little bit of the vegan deterioration. Let's get this going.
So it's time for another vegan transformation to ex-vegan transformation video.
Actually, let's do this.
And I really love doing these videos. I feel like they are so important. And also, a lot of the vegans, they feel like my channel is only to so-called bash vegans, which I don't feel like I'm bashing them, just observing the transformation. So this is not only current vegans here.
Sean claimed that he could deadlift in the 700s when he was younger, naturally, which is very hard to believe. Probably less than 1% of the naturals. Yeah, but you got to remember the guy is massive. The guy's like 6'5", and I know that most really strong guys are short, but there is something to be said for just absolute overall mass. I think some of the biggest, strongest guys in the world are all over like 6 feet too. So I don't find that hard to believe. There's guys on YouTube, like go look at Max Tuning. I mean, Max Tuning is like 160 pounds. That guy deadlifts like 600 pounds or something. Nina-san says, where do you live? I live in Southern California. Okay, let's pop the video on.
On is also ex-vegans that are kind enough to send me their photos so that I can show this important information. So this is one of my viewers. I don't know if she wants me to use her name, but I'll just leave her name out of it. So she told me that she went vegan in 2012, and this photo here is from 2012. And she said that she went vegan at the age of 21, which is very young, my opinion, to go vegan.
I do worry about people that go vegan very young, by the way.
Lasting vegans, they went vegan much later in life, and that's actually probably better because
yeah,
they have more nutrient stores.
The dog definitely was a situation last night. I woke up at like 2:30 and had to move him around and stuff. I woke up at like 8:45 this morning though, so I got a decent amount of sleep. But
I didn't go vegan until I was 24, and I still suffer. But I can't imagine going vegan at 21, so young. So she stayed vegan for 6 years, December 2012 until December 2018. And this photo is 2012, so this would be either before she went vegan, because she went vegan at the very end of 2012, and this looks like summer or spring, so it's probably before she went vegan. This picture is from 2014, and she's still looking good. Like, I don't see any major vegan deterioration, so this must be in the beginning phase of veganism. I consider it the beginning phase of veganism before you start to deteriorate. Even if it's been like 10 years and you still looking and feeling good, I feel like that's early veganism. But that's just my own mind and opinion. I could be wrong. I probably am wrong, but so this is in 2012, and I feel like she's still looking healthy and she looks fine. Like most people.
Yeah, the dog finally laid down this morning.
A few years of being a vegan.
He finally laid on his side.
That she's in.
Daily Drew engagement. Tribby, was it you that told me the community tab?
I'm so happy that she sent me these photos, because you can see that this is clearly different lighting. It looks like she has slightly less makeup, like less eyeliner. Her hair color is different. But if she was a vegan YouTuber in this photo on the right with a green shirt, I would not be doing a vegan deterioration video on her. Even though the lighting is different, the hair is different, and everything is different. Because she doesn't look deteriorated. She doesn't have sunken eyes.
No, I had to crank it up.
Her lips still look like they have some color. Her skin looks like
my headphones are really loud right now. That's why I could hear no problem. Her smile
is translating into her eyes. She still looks alive, even though the lighting and everything is different. A lot of these vegan deterioration symptoms, lighting has nothing to do with it. So yes, I think that the vegan diet is not doing her too bad in the first 2 years. And that's just my honest opinion.
It usually takes over 2 years to see any type of deterioration.
Whoa. 2016. So it's been about 4 years that she's been on a vegan diet at this point. And she said that she declined the most in 2017 and 18. So this is right before then. And she said that her hair was falling out in clumps. And to me, her hairline is looking very sparse. Even though in the other photos, you can't really see her hairline because she has the bangs down and everything. So it's hard to really say for sure. But something that I'm noticing in this photo is, to me, even though the lighting and everything, the angles are different, I still can see the beginning of sunken eyes. Like, you can see her eyelid crease, and then there's another crease forming on top of it, and I'll zoom in to show you what I'm talking about. So the pink arrow that I drew is pointing to the first crease on the eyelid that, everybody has. You have a crease around your eyeball because you're blinking and that skin folds. But then
you can tell right away that this chick is having some issues on the vegan diet. Just the creases around her mouth, the fact that her face looks like it's lost a lot of significant amount of collagen.
It could be lighting and angles and all that, but to me it looks like the sunken eye is forming because she didn't have that before. Her eyelid was flat before. And just for the vegans in the back that don't know what I'm talking about, I'm gonna basically draw like a line around the crease that I say forming. So those blue little dashes, those are where I see that sinking in of her eyelid occurring. Now, if she would have had this type of slight indentation in the beginning, it would not be a sunken eye because her eye would have always been like that, but her eyelid was pretty much flat, okay, like a hooded eye almost.
Cook that bacon.
So this is a sinking occurring, and it's just my opinion. If you want to say it's the lighting and the angles making her eyelids start to sink in a little bit, then you can just believe that and thumbs the video down, but I see a sinking. This photo is from 2017, and she's beginning to look very, very
That's
vegan.
A vegan. Spot
her
the vegan.
Her complexion is just looking more washed out, and it's mostly due to the color loss in the lips. And the sunken eyes are...
Adrian P., you say that channel's a joke? Why is it a joke? I'd like to hear your thoughts about that. Why do you think this channel's a joke?
You must just be a vegan in denial. And also, she's looking underweight. This is a photo from January 2019, this year. And this is basically the very, very end of veganism, where she started to add those animal foods back in. And even though she has on glasses, I feel like you can tell her entire eyelid shape is completely different from before she became a vegan.
Oh yeah, look at the eyelid. It's like an almond.
6 years,
it's just like a perfect cutout.
Your eyelids completely sink in. This is a very deep sunken eye, in my opinion. And the vegans might say her glasses are casting a shadow, making it look like she has a crease in her eyelid or something. You know, those vegan excuses, those off-the-wall vegan excuses. But her eyelid shape is nothing like it was before, and she actually sent me some other photos, which I will show you. I feel like these are very important photos. This is from January to May of this year, so about 5 months of her being back on animal foods.
Nailed it.
I feel like her skin quality looks better. Her skin doesn't look as thin.
You can already tell right here, like she said, the skin, it doesn't look as thin. Look at the creases around the mouth. So deep on the right side. So deep in this, there's like a primary crease here right on the edges of the lips. And then there's this secondary crease. And look at her photo on the left here. This is the updated photo. There's the primary crease, but there's no real secondary crease. The secondary crease is significantly smoothed out. You could see that right off the bat. And you can even tell, like, look here in this upper part. I hope you guys can see my cursor. Oh, you cannot. You cannot see my cursor. Sorry, wrong window. This window right here. I was talking about these primary creases here. These primary creases are significantly, the secondary crease is significantly... Man, I was telling you guys that backwards. I'm so sorry, guys. I literally have this up on 3 different monitors. I'm so sorry. On your right, you're going to see the updated photo. The primary crease is here right on the side of the lips, and there's really a very smooth secondary crease here where my cursor is. And if you see here, yeah, she's smiling a little bit harder, but you can tell that those creases are less. I mean, you could still see that tooth there is still there. So, I mean, she's still opened up pretty much the same. 80-90% the same. And then look at the crease in the eyelid here. Look how deep that crease is. So deep. And then right here, it's a lot. Hello.
Can you see me?
I can.
Oh, good.
Let me pull you on in a second here. Are you ready to go, or do you need a second?
Give me like 2 minutes. You can keep talking.
Okay. Would you mind just muting your microphone, maybe?
Yeah.
If you can. Cool. So right here we have the crease in her eyelid, and over here you can see that crease is gone. So there's no need to talk about lighting or anything like that. In my opinion, if you have a crease that bad, it doesn't matter whether the lighting's dead on or top down, you're still going to be able to see that. You can see it on both of her eyes, going all the way into the center. And then right here, you just simply do not see that. Anyway. We have Izzy in the house. She's just making a quick little smoothie, and then she will pop in. Eka said, Drew, are you feeding your dog a raw meat and bone diet? That's the natural diet of canines. Processed kibble dog food is giving dogs the same diseases as humans, obesity, cancer, etc. Man, I'd love to feed this dog 100% raw meat. Trust me. But at 125 pounds, it does become a slight money issue. And I hate to say that, but it is what it is. Your cost of dog food goes from like $100 to $150 a month to like $400 a month, at least. So.
All right, I am ready when you are.
All right, I'm going to pull you in right now. All right, everybody,
Not
welcome.
a smoothie, by the way.
What's that?
It's not a smoothie.
Oh, it's not a smoothie. What is it?
It's just it's like an electrolyte water kind of thing.
Electrolytes. Wow, you're fancy.
Well, I sweat so much,
Right.
so gotta kind of stay on top of it. Otherwise, I'll get a headache or something.
Okay, sounds reasonable. Do you drink caffeine?
It's kind of like in the sense that if it's on occasion for fun,
Yeah.
I'll have it. If someone's making it at the office or whatever. If it's a Sunday morning and I'm at a coffee shop, you know what I mean? But I don't drink it every day as a routine.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
It looks like the quality is really bad. Do you see that? Or is it just because you look really bad too?
No, it's really good.
Okay, fine.
Or it's
We're good
pretty
then.
good anyway. It's definitely on par. Let's just say that.
Okay. Great.
Do you have headphones, by the way?
Yes, let me get them. I set
Okay,
them all.
cool. Awesome. I'm cropping this bottom. That annoys me. Ooh. Okay, perfect.
These are the best headphones. Hopefully they connect to my MacBook. So thanks for having me on.
Yeah, you're welcome. Can you hear me now?
No.
Okay.
I can do these are connected by Bluetooth, but there does come with an emergency backup cord.
Oh, good.
I don't feel like figuring it out right now, so I'm just gonna do the old-fashioned way. Okay, so now talk.
Now you're ready. Hello.
Okay, you're in my ears, but how do you hear me?
How do
Not
I hear
good.
you? No, it's
is it okay?
It's through your laptop. So hit that little gear in the top right if you want to change it to another microphone. If not, then that's fine. You do sound okay. So.
Okay. I think my laptop is a better source than these because I sometimes when I'm talking to people on the phone with these, it does not sound great.
Okay, no problem. So guys, welcome Izzy Davis to the channel. She rushed home from spin class to get here and do this interview, which I do appreciate. And I know a little bit about you, so I'd love to do this fancy, awesome intro for you, but I don't know a whole lot. All I know is that I remember you from years back when I first went vegan. Of course, you were dating Jackson Foster at the time, our friend Plantriotic, and that's what I remember. I remember you guys doing the bodybuilding and the powerlifting stuff back in the day as like fruit eaters, and you were Izzy the fruit bat, and you were a disciple of Freely the banana girl. And I don't know. Let's fill in the rest of the story because I hear you have some cool stuff to say.
Yeah, man. I wish the quality. I hope it improves so I can like see your facial expressions a little bit more, and so that you can see mine. I don't know if you can, but I was just rolling my eyes during that little blip of my life because, of course, in my whole entire life that was such a short phase. But yeah, I found, Freely and Christina when I was about 16. Mm-hmm. And I went on a high raw, low fat, basically raw till 4, kind of, in every respect I played around in that bubble. And I had always enjoyed YouTube, and I finally kind of found an audience because I was now like appealing to this niche, and this niche was growing, and there was such a need for a voice that was younger, I felt, because Christina and Freely were pretty much the only big ones, and they're they're older, you know, so I ran into the issue as a 16-year-old, 17-year-old, of like, my parents shop and cook. So now I'm going to start being controlling about my diet and picky. And, you know, what do? I want to eat this way. And just, I started talking about it and got so many comments, so many subscribers. It was just building and building. And it took over my life for like 2 or 3 years. It was like, you know, my thing. It was my identity that I was this vegan YouTuber fruit girl, right?
Mhm.
And I was going to all of these Fruit Lux in LA. I don't know if you ever went to any of those, but
I live in Orange County, but I never made it up there. But that was the peak of, you know, the Evan Rock and Long Beach with Happy Healthy Vegan, and that whole thing was going on. That was like the golden year or year or two, you know?
It really was. I felt like I was part of an empire. Right. And then it all came crumbling down, which is, it's been so interesting. I just think that, you know, I don't know if I had any influence in it, but I went to college, right? So it was like my junior year of high school when I went vegan. And then I was, you know, senior year YouTubing, and went to UC Berkeley, started my freshman year there. And about 2 years in, I really started to just burn out on making videos. You know, I was putting all of my energy towards school, and I was studying nutrition, and I felt passionate about that. And I felt like I kind of started to realize that a lot of people on the internet that I was watching talking about nutrition knew nothing. And it was just kind of like, I couldn't engage with it anymore. It was kind of embarrassing. It was kind of cringy. And to be honest, I felt like I need to take a step back and stop sharing about my diet, because I need to just like learn, right? I don't know yet. And I can't be on the internet being an example for younger girls or whoever's watching me. Not that I ever told anyone what to eat, but just by sharing, you are influencing people. And I was like, well, I don't know. So let me just take a step back and stop talking so much about my diet, right? You mentioned that you wanted to hear about my ASMR thing.
I do want to hear about. We can talk about that later. This is very interesting to me, and I want to point. I don't want to ruin your flow here, but you said something that was interesting, which was you went to school and you wanted to learn more. What a concept, right? You're paying this college, people with real credentials, to teach you stuff, and it's so funny in the vegan world. That information that's being taught in school that's in the mainstream is all crap, unless it's benefiting them. Then, of course, the doctors that benefit them, they're like, yes, 2 thumbs up. Dr. Greger, you know what you're talking about. But
so Durian Ryder, you had him on. Go ahead.
I wanted to ask you, so when you started, I wanted to just make a point to people that when you're a vegan and you go to nutrition school, because this is a common thing that happens, they answer the test questions basically incorrectly in their mind because they think that they know better. And it's funny that you, as a 18, 19-year-old girl, had the sense to be like, this school knows better than I do, and I'm going to learn from them. I just wanted to point that out to people. So, yes, you were going to talk about Durian Ryder. Please.
Well, he's one of my favorite characters. He's so interesting and just the most ridiculous character I've, ever come across. So I thought it was really funny that you had him on the show, and I watched that episode a few days ago, and I was just like, how did I miss this? It's so interesting. But he
wants to get involved in the next experiment, by the way.
What?
He wants to be involved in the next experiment, by the way.
Oh yeah, you have to tell me about your experience or your experiments, because I just heard that at the beginning while I was driving. I don't know what they are, so we'll talk about that when we get into nutrition stuff a little bit. But Durian Ryder is one of the voices, but also many other people as a vegan that told me, hey, when you go to college, when you go to university, they're going to try to teach you the basic principles of the food pyramid that the government has, and they're going to tell you that dairy is good and has calcium. And, you know, so I went in thinking that, like, okay, I'm going to have to kind of like navigate around what I learn in nutrition classes, right? But actually, UC Berkeley has a really good nutrition program, and believe it or not, they are not teaching those things. I want to say 3 professors in a row that were promoting plant-based. Whether it was, I took a couple environmental classes that were promoting it more from like an environmental perspective, but also in my actual nutrition classes, they never really brought up food. So I studied human physiology and metabolism. So everything was on the cellular level. It was very much biology, chemistry, biochem, and we never really zoomed out and said, like, this food will do this, this food will do this. It was all very much on the cellular level. So I never had to navigate around anything. I never had to disagree with any of my professors.
Wow.
So that just like took that, you know, then I kind of started to realize that these people like Durian Rider have never been to college, so why would they know? You know, like they don't, and maybe they have been to some higher level education, but it was years ago.
No, he learned from the streets. Durian Rider learned from the streets.
Right. And it wasn't in California. It wasn't at like one of the best research universities in the world where they're actually doing science right now. Like everything that I learned in my classes was very up to date. So, you know, we talked about keto, we talked about inflammation, we talked about type 2 diabetes, we talked about Alzheimer's, and like all the kind of new pressing things that scientists are just starting to uncover right now in terms of diet and health. And yeah,
so what did they say about the vegan diet then?
Book.
They
don't say, you know, there's never going to be a class where your professor is like, because I wasn't a dietetics major. So there were 3 tracks in my, like branch. So this is like the nutrition major branch, and there are 3 tracks. Dietetics is if you want to be a dietitian and you want to work in a clinic and tell people, basically do medical nutrition therapy, which is like, you know, you're having seizures, like let's try more zinc and more magnesium and you know whatever. But then there's physiology and metabolism, which is like most people in my major are going to go do research in a lab. So they're just going to be pipetting stuff and writing papers and reading papers and talking about like how this specific K159 protein affects this receptor. Like, you know what I mean? It's very, very deep. And then there's the toxicology major, which is all about drugs. It's all about, you know, drug metabolism and how drugs, you know, will affect. So those people probably want to be pharmacists or, you know, also do research and make new drugs. So yeah, what was the original question?
I was just talking about your professors promoting veganism.
Right,
how did you get that sense?
They never would say in any of my classes, they would never say, you know, this diet, blah, blah, blah. But what I did find as a common theme as I got into the higher level nutrition classes where we're really talking about chronic diseases is that overeating of any kind will essentially lead to inflammation. This is all on the cellular level. So mostly we're looking at the pancreas, inflammation in the pancreatic cells, just start kind of making them work less optimally. And then over time they die. And then the other cells have to work harder. And boom, you have insulin resistance and you have type 2 diabetes. And then that similar thing can happen in your brain cells. It can happen in other parts of the body and lead to these different conditions. But it all kind of comes down to inflammation, and whether you're overeating on fat or you're overeating on sugar. If you're not exercising enough and you're not taking care of yourself, then going to lead to problems. And then there's also so many interesting genetic factors that come in. And that's why nutrition is really, really hard to study, because the human body is so complex. We are affected by our environment. We are affected by our genetics. We're affected by our diet and our exercise. But human studies on nutrition are really hard to do. You can really only find correlation. So that's why I think the whole YouTube thing, everybody analyzing each other on here, is like...
Well, that's why I call it health entertainment. YouTube is health entertainment.
Yeah, it is entertainment. I do find it entertaining.
We can do our best to make reasonable, rational correlations. And I could tell you a little bit about my experiments and testing that we've been doing. But last month, I ran an experiment, vegan to carnivore experiment. Basically, I found a healthy vegan guy and I found a healthy carnivore guy, and I had them swap diets for 28 days. They took blood tests before and they took blood tests after. And the reason why the vegan guy was even willing to do this in the first place is because there was a carnivore that was willing to swap diets with him, therefore making it so that his, he's not killing any extra animals. It evens out. Exactly.
Interesting.
So we found a logical vegan. That's very hard to find. And then basically we had them test. And, it was interesting, the blood test that came out. We had what I would consider the vegan blood tests were not as bad as I expected them to be. For instance, I thought that the triglyceride to HDL ratio was going to get worse. It actually improved for him, but it also improved for the other guy. That's what makes it interesting. Both guys switched diets and both guys improved on their new diet. What the heck? And they both felt bad on their new diet. Neither of them felt good. So
their blood tests improved, but they felt bad
in certain areas. Some areas got worse, and I can get into that a little bit. The carnivore guys, the guy who was carnivore and went vegan, his C-reactive protein, I believe, got a lot better. And this is something that the vegan side is really taking all the way home. They're saying this is a slam dunk case for the vegan diet, blah, blah, blah. But they're also glossing over the fact that the only person who had a recommendation to see a follow-up doctor was actually Chase, our vegan example. He had, I think, low thyroid going into it. They were already recommending that he goes and gets thyroid replacement, and to go see his doctor immediately after the test. So that's a 10-year vegan right there. So, in vegan land, if you're vegan and as long as you're not eating processed food, you should be the healthiest individual in the world, right? According to them. So you have a 10-year vegan that's coming into it with a bad thyroid situation, and he's leaving the test still with a poor thyroid situation. And they didn't say anything to my carnivore guy. They didn't say, hey, you need to go get a follow-up test on anything. They just said, this got a little better, this got a little worse. Keep on going. It's a 30-day blood test. But for our vegan, he had serious recommendations to go see another doctor. So that's basically the gist of that. And then we're going to run the experiment again, hopefully with other volunteers.
That's, I mean, it's interesting. I'm a firm believer that what goes on in your brain could definitely affect your blood tests as well. Whatever neurotransmitters you've got spinning around, you better believe they're affecting your thyroid, your adrenals. Everything is connected. So if you're uncomfortable every day with what you're eating, I could imagine that that's gonna affect your stress levels.
I do want to point something out with the blood tests.
Yeah.
So we didn't reveal them to them until after the test was completely over. So they didn't know where they started or where they ended until we finished the experiment. About a week later, it took for them to get their blood test back. So we tried to isolate them away from their own mind as much as we could.
Right, but if you're a 10-year vegan and now you're eating meat for the first time, you've got to be a little bit stressed out about that.
He did it on
Right?
stream, actually, the first time. He enjoyed it on stream. He
Did
had
he
his first
enjoy
bites. People in the chat were like, oh my God, he seems so much more calm. He's speaking more clearly. He's speaking better. And honestly, I thought so too. I mean,
Yeah.
Chase, my boy, if you're out there, you know, he speaks in pieces a lot. And when he was chowing down on the meat towards the end of it, he was like, his like whole demeanor changed, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah. Well, back to what you said about how vegans believe that if they eat, you know, minimal processed food, then they should be the healthiest ever. Again, impossible to say that, because where you live in the world would determine what kind of produce you're getting. How your produce is farmed is going to literally determine exactly what minerals, what nutrients, what vitamins are in that, you know, plant that you're eating. So it's not apples to apples. It's like there are so many factors that come into diet.
The vegans would then say everybody should move to Thailand or everybody should move to Hawaii because that's where humans originated, on the tropics, and everybody can do that. Take your whole family. This is all that matters in the world. Save the animals.
What do I say about that?
What do you say about that, Izzy, the fruit bat?
I know. I mean, you can do that if you want to.
You did that though, right? You did some, you know, tropical. You never did any like overseas traveling?
I went to Thailand with Jackson.
Okay.
But that was just a trip. We didn't like live there.
Okay.
That was really fun though. I will say that was awesome. It was so much fun. But you know why? You know why it was great? Is because I had a belief, and it's kind of an isolated belief that not many people have, right? This like fruitarianism. And then you get to Thailand and you're now in a group, you're in a tribe. And no matter what that tribe is, whether it's religion, a bunch of other things, it feels good to have a group. And humans naturally want to be in a group. So it was so much fun. I had the best time of my life. But yeah, if you want to, if fruitarian lifestyle just lights you up inside, I really don't have a problem with people doing it. For me, though, it became socially isolating. So I want to bring this up with you in the most, you know, open. I want to have an open discussion. It's like, I will admit fully that I'm also in this camp, but I want to propose a little thing. So my boyfriend, for example, and by the way, I was on the chat when that person asked if I was single or whatever. I am not. Sorry, buddy. He's like a normal guy, average Joe, just, you know, grew up playing sports and eats whatever, right? Mm-hmm. He has a really level head. I think that a lot of people who go vegan are borderline psychotic, and a little bit more so like on the spectrum. And we're the type of people that like to be extreme. And I'm seeing these people flip-flop from raw fruitarians to carnivore, right? I just had dinner with your girlfriend the other night, and I was eating like a veggie bowl. It was like there was like a bunch of veggies and it was this bowl from a restaurant. It was vegan. So sometimes I eat vegan meals. We'll talk about that. I'm like, just whatever. I eat whatever. And she was eating just animal products. And I was sitting there and I was like, I'm not going to propose this because I don't know her that well. But how much anxiety would it give her if we just had to take both of our meals and it would maybe give me some too. We just had to take both of our meals and split them in half, right? Mm-hmm. So I eat half of her meat and eggs with my bowl, and she has some carbs and some plants. And what would that like spin off in our minds? I think a lot of these ailments that everyone claims to have on this diet and this diet is kind of a little bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy. You convince
Psychosomatic
yourself.
situation.
Yeah. Yeah. So it seems obvious to me that if you have an avocado toast, it's more delicious, more satisfying if you put a poached egg on top. It seems obvious, and it proves to be true when you eat it, right? Plain avocado toast versus egg, it's going to just have more satisfaction, more protein, tastes better. And then if you take the bread away, and you take the avocado away, just an egg by itself is not that good. So it's like interesting that I find this whole community, whether you're fruitarian or going carnivore, you're willing to sacrifice a lot. You're willing to like sacrifice taste and sacrifice satisfaction, and also your social life. Like, you can't just be relaxed around food anymore. Maybe you can, because you're carnivore now and you eat at home and you live kind of a different life where you like, you're surrounded by people doing the same thing. But I have something in my personality, I think, that I want to appeal to the masses. Like, I just want to have a big circle around me. I want to have a lot of friends. I want to be, very social. So the diet isolating thing just doesn't work for me. And the reality is, the world is where it's at. We're not a completely plant-based world. We're not a completely plant-free world. There's lots of options when you go out to eat and you go to the grocery store, and I think you can be healthy eating both. So, and I really do think it's about the quality of the food too. So yeah, no, I just find it interesting that so many of us are willing to sacrifice a lot in order to like feel our best. Mm-hmm. But we're not really thinking about like, how do we feel socially? How do we feel in relationship to other people? We're just so focused on like, oh, today I'm feeling a little bit bloated. Oh my God, it must have been the mangoes. It's like, we're very like, I call it navel gazing. We're just like always looking down, like what's going on with me, right?
Definitely. I think like where that all begins for a lot of people is sort of living from the moment to moment in terms of what they want to eat. They grow up with a fairly regular diet and lifestyle. Their parents ate regular. They hit McDonald's every once in a while. They kind of just do the regular things, right? Like your boyfriend probably does. He grew up as an athlete. He could probably eat whatever he wanted. Yeah. He probably just, everybody on his team, all the dudes, after practice, they'd go eat pizza or whatever they did, right? So I think what happens is some people have that experience. And then other people have the complete opposite experience where they try and go with what feels good, what tastes good, and their body deceives them. Their taste buds deceive them. Yeah. Ice cream tastes good, but you don't really know what kind of portions to really eat. And, pizza tastes good, but you might overeat that pizza. Now you're 18 years old, coming out of high school, and you're like 50, 60 pounds overweight, right?
Yeah.
And then you have people with health issues on top of that, not just the weight issues, so their self-esteem and all this stuff. You have the beginnings of eating disorders going on. I personally consider myself having never had an eating disorder. I don't resonate with any of those symptoms at all. I have to honestly say that. So I don't come from diet as a weight loss and I know that there's eating disorders from all spectrums, but from me, like, if anything, I've wanted to gain weight my whole life. So that's the angle that I come from it. And that's why I did bodybuilding as a young dude. And, I got my little muscles and stuff like that. And I started eating a lot and eating more protein and understanding how these foods affect the body. Well, as a bodybuilder or, aspiring bodybuilder, whatever you want to call it, you're used to your digestion kind of sucking because you're eating so much food. And like you said, when you overeat in any capacity, you are overloading the system. And from a cellular level, that might look like, these cells are just burning themselves out. You're creating diabetes. But from a practical everyday feeling state, you're bloated and gas, and you're gaining fat, really, when you're overeating. So I feel like it just depends on what angle people come at these diets from. And for me, I like to explain it as I am extreme with my diets, and I don't mind being extreme because I don't really trust people that much. I don't trust what the normal is, you know?
Yeah.
So I always talk about it like a box. Now I will test every corner of that box to see where my balance point is in the center. That's the calibration point for me is after trying all of the extremes, now I can point myself in the middle and say, this is the balance I like.
Yeah.
And you mentioned something about how do you feel in social situations? How do you feel beyond just the food that you're consuming?
Yeah.
Well, I was even thinking of this the last couple of days, calling it like a quality of life diet. Because you have to take into consideration all of these things. And of course, the vegans will tell you, well, your parents are murdering animals and your family is murdering animals. And this is the tradition that's been going on. And traditions can't be good. They're not automatically good. So you should question everything and just leave all that behind. And I can honestly say for me, yes, I do. I've never seen food as like this really enjoyable thing. I don't really care about the social aspects of food. I really don't. But going vegan for me wasn't really a social. I didn't care about it either way. I kind of enjoyed being the weirdo for a little bit. And then I moved to Hawaii, and I had the big group of Hawaii friends. And now I was totally accepted, right? I lived there for 2 years. But it's funny to me, people are always criticizing ex-vegans, and they're saying it's a social thing. You left because of social reasons. Like, no. Within a few months, the social thing is out the window. You're not really worried about it, or I wasn't. Then I moved to Hawaii. It was weird for me not to be vegan there. So their example is completely null and void in my case, right? Yeah. So that's all I have to say about that.
Cool. Yeah, no, I think that you're totally right. There are probably 90% of vegans who are extreme that have an eating disorder hiding. And there are the few that don't and purely just want to feel good and feel awesome. But my question for you is, what was the original reason why you went vegan in the first place?
Okay, so my grandfather died about 6 years ago, heart attack. All right.
I'm sorry.
And thank you, but it was like a overnight thing, right? But he had diabetes for a long time. And I always thought he looked good. He was fairly lean. We have a very similar body type. He was still pretty active. Like he gardened all the time and stuff like that. And then one day, bam, heart pain in the hospital. That's it. Done. Right. And then crazy. So then a few months later, I got mononucleosis, you know, the kissing disease as people, it's named other things in other countries, but, horrendous thing where the first time in my life, I felt very, very sick. And I got a taste of what it's like to be basically permanently sick because you're sick for a full month. Yeah. You're tired all day long. I got strep throat on top of that. It was a terrible month. I could barely eat any food. I lost a bunch of weight. My glands were swollen to the touch. Absolutely awful. Now, I was like, holy shit, I need to change my lifestyle. I'm 28 years old. I'm approaching 30. I had a very professional job at the time. I was an outside sales guy, and I was just struggling to do all this stuff, basically. And I finally was just like, is that your dad?
Hello? Hi. Oh my God, you guys are going to get to meet my dad.
I have met him through your videos. I've watched more of your dad's videos recently.
Jerry, come here. Hey. Hang on, I'm going to take the headphones off so he can hear himself.
Jerry, how's it going, buddy?
We're on live to the whole internet.
Oh.
Tell him I watched some of his videos.
This guy knows who you are.
Oh, stop it.
MOBA.
I do.
We changed it to SOBA.
What does that mean?
The sensation. We don't want a miracle is too much of a head trip, like a thought. We don't want you to have mental. We want you to be sensation. So we had to change it to SOBA.
All right.
I love it. I got to learn more about it. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll be downstairs.
My dad's a very spiritually enlightened man.
I wouldn't say that to me.
He's a funny guy.
So as far as that year when I was 28 years old, 5 years ago, I met, of course, I met this cool chick. We were out doing our normal thing. Me and my buddy went on a double date, and she was extremely cool. And she was like, I'm vegan. Basically, all my friends are vegan. It's like amazing. Basically, it does all this amazing stuff.
Yeah.
I know bodybuilders that are vegan. They're totally in shape and ripped and healthy and all this stuff. And I was like, okay, that sounds kind of cool. And then I told her, if this makes me lose any gains at all, I'm not going to stick with it, but I'll try it, and I'll do it for 6 months. And so me and her, she kind of gave me a little bit of coaching in the beginning. I'm obsessed with researching stuff. So I gladly, I saw every Durian Rider video, every Freely video, every video possible about the subject, top to bottom, Gregor stuff, all that. And I was like, okay, this makes sense. I'm going to do this for 6 months, and going to give it a go. So right off the bat, I started losing mass. I started losing strength. My digestion was okay. And that was another reason why I came to the diet. I wanted better digestion. That was one thing specifically that I wanted. And it was promised on every single damn vegan's channel. Everybody says the digestion is so much better. Fiber heals your gut. We need it. Yeah. The microbiome. Yeah. Rich Roll had these guests on. And I was like, okay, cool. We're going to do this. I gave it the window of, adjustability, I call it, or whatever you want to call it, like getting used to the fiber in your gut. It never got better. I mean, there was times where it was okay, and then there was times where it was really bad. And it was never just, I had 6 months of like what I consider flawless digestion, but that was years later into the diet. And then it just went way bad after that, like the worst ever. That was when I was having nuts and seeds. So all the things that vegans say, oh, you should be incorporating this. I tried that. I tried every single variation, and all of them were bad. All of them were bad for one reason or another. I'll say that.
It's probably just too much fiber. I mean, I experienced that too. Too much fiber will make you bloaty, gassy. Everything just goes wrong. And sometimes you'll notice, like, even sticking with the same diet, it can be good for a while, and then all of a sudden it's just not.
I had energy.
Yeah.
That was convincing to me. In the beginning, I had a lot of energy. I quit caffeine. That was another thing I was excited about. And I was all high on the fruit. Like, my eyeballs were just like popping out of my head on the banana smoothies. Yeah. And I thought this was the shit. And a year and a half in, I get bit a bunch of cavities, and I stopped cycling, so I couldn't burn off all that sugar. So now I'm starting to get this like soft belly fat out of nowhere that I didn't have before. And things started to get really wavy after that, And then I went to Hawaii, and I was like, oh, I'm going to be around all these super healthy Hawaiian people. We're going to learn how to juice fast and water fast, and they're going to have all these fucking techniques for me. And I'm going to just rise to this crazy health level. And I realized that I was like one of the healthiest people there when I got there. And I was just like, wait a minute, this is wrong. All the chicks have basically put on weight and can't lose the last bit of weight that they didn't have a couple years ago. All the guys were pretty weak, not really strong at all. And I was myself struggling heavily to put on any type of muscle mass doing stuff. So I want to let you cut in here. I feel like I've been talking too much. You asked me a question. You got me fired up, Izzy.
It's like I love it. I've been watching your episodes lately, and I think it's so cool that you just let people share a piece of their raw mind. There's a lot of fake stuff on the internet, and I didn't prepare for this at all. I'm just sitting here kind of spitting off, but ever since I started watching your channel, I was like, I want to go on there, because what I really want to get across is like, everyone needs to chill. Like, really. Like, everyone just needs to chill. Maybe one thing doesn't work for you, so you try something else. And if that works for you, you got to kind of get your ducks in a row and figure out, does this work? Like, what do I care about in life? If, for a while, I was really, really passionate about the environment and the planet. And I kind of realized I know nothing about the planet. It's the same way I've always felt about politics, right? Like, I never really got into politics because all of your sources for information come from other people. And it comes from people with cameras and people with computers. And not to say that it's all biased or twisted, but you just don't see it with your own real eyes. So it's the same thing, you know, watching documentaries about the planet. It's like, yeah, I'm here. I live on my street. I can see the houses around me and I see what I see in my little bubble. But I'm never going to get on a spaceship and take a like zoomed out view of the entire Earth. So I don't really know. And it's not my life passion to like dig into that and dive into that. And if it's yours and you want to, you know, have a certain goal in mind for the planet to get to this, you know, this number of emissions by da, 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 and you're out there being an activist and you're doing it on all fronts, go for it, you know. But like for me, I was starting to realize that my ducks weren't in a row. Nothing was really lining up. I was like, yeah, I'm vegan for everything. And there's something in business called barriers to entry. So like when you enter a certain industry, some industries are easier to get into than others, right? Mm-hmm. So the barriers to entry for veganism are very low.
Very low.
Step in. But then once you're in, you build them up higher and higher and higher. So I had built myself a barrier to exit that was very high because I became a vegan influencer. I had this like, you know, this tribe of friends around me on the internet that were just keeping me, you know, like keeping me engaged, I would say. I even joined, when I was in college, have you heard of DXE?
Mm-mm.
It's a huge animal rights activist group out of the Bay Area. And they're so strong in the Bay Area, they believe that Berkeley will be the first entirely vegan town. So they have some goal for that to happen. And there are a lot of vegan restaurants in Berkeley, and they are good. It is like the best food. Amazing. So I was very spoiled.
I actually had a roommate that was from Berkeley that lived with us in our house for a while. And she said that Berkeley Bowl and all these places are just so fantastic.
Megan Elizabeth actually lived in Berkeley for a hot minute.
And you're still there right now, right?
I stayed at her house for one weekend when Jackson was in town.
Are you still in Berkeley now?
No. Now I'm in San Diego.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. I don't want to say where I live, but I'm right by Elise. So
okay, good idea. There's a lot of people out there, and it's freaking terrifying. And I can't imagine. And this ties into the ASMR, by the way, which I would like to talk about.
Yeah, we'll get there.
People are loving this barrier to exit. Yeah, it's good. It's a good point. People do build themselves up, and they can't leave the damn thing.
Yeah, like imagine so these people in the chat, I would assume that most of them are just viewers and they don't have their own following. Maybe they have a small following. But imagine having like 50,000, 100,000. Imagine Ravana. Does she have like 300K? 900K? I don't even know.
Ravana's in the millions.
She might, on her Spanish channel.
Yeah, she got railed.
Imagine being fully raw Christina. Like you have created yourself an identity around your diet, which is like insane to me.
I'd like to ask you something. So, and I'm not asking you this because of your past involvements with Plantriotic, aka Jackson, and you can say what you want here, but he was one of the first guests I had on my show, if not the first guest. And and because we were going back and forth all the time in the DMs, and he was really annoying me basically. So I finally got him on the show. We had a debate, which he just threw a bunch of studies in my face basically, and I was just like, this is not what I want to do. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Now, in my opinion, Jackson is curious enough to want to try the animal foods diet for his own knowledge sake. But the vegan identity and the attachment to the 10-year vegan chip. You know, when they scan your ID at Whole Foods, it shows that you're the gold vegan member 10 years plus. They don't want to give that up. And it becomes
he has a tattoo.
He has a tattoo. I've got vegan friends that have tattoos also, and it's like, okay, well, you better get a good artist to hide that thing if you ever want to eat something else outside that diet, right?
Yeah.
So that's my question for you is, do you feel like people like Jackson, not just specifically Jackson, it just happens to be Jackson because he was the first guy on the show and he was considering doing the diet swap for a minute. Mm-hmm. And his audience basically made him back down from the challenge. Mm. So that's my question. Do you think that people like Jackson, if it wasn't this massive barrier to entry, they would actually benefit or want to try foods outside the vegan diet, at least for their own knowledge? But because there's this following attached to it, they don't want to lose their spot in line, their seniority, basically.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
Yeah. No, yeah, I think I agree because Jackson's very rigid. He's a Scorpio and he likes to be extreme and he likes to be hard on himself. He likes to push himself and he definitely wants to be like top notch when it comes to productivity and whatever. So if you can convince him that the meat diet is going to get him there, I think without all this other identity, YouTube, ethical stuff, tattoos, just everything, you could definitely get him to do it.
So that's the angle.
Yeah, that would be my angle.
Okay, good tactics. I
wonder if he's gonna watch this.
He's already watching Jackson, it. He's already in the chat.
Is he? He's in the chat.
He was earlier. Yeah, I don't know if he's there now.
Oh my goodness.
Hopefully lost signal doing some mountain pass in Mexico while he's cycling. Missed that part.
I am just jaw drop amazed at his personality and what he wants out of life because we bonded when we first met that we were both vegan. And I mean, that's like the dream when you're a vegan girl, like, oh, a vegan boy? That is like, wow, perfect. Now life is easy because we can just eat together and never be embarrassed. So that was pretty much like what, got me interested. And over the course of our relationship, I learned that his main goal in life was to just have no structure, cycle the world, not have a real job, and just like sustain himself off of the adventure of being like on his bike, and I don't know what he wants in 10 years, but that's what he wanted like in the next 5 years. And I was like, whoa.
Well, he did make a post recently about how he was shocked that it would be so hard to find a woman to join him on that journey. He's like, this is the most awesome thing in the world. And he's saying that he found it surprising that a woman wouldn't want to be on that journey with him.
Do you see my face right now?
I'm just paraphrasing what he said,
that is so not what I want at all. Not all girls are like this. I don't want to be sexist or whatever, but I like to be comfortable. I like to be safe. I like to be, moderate temperature, and I like to know where I'm going to sleep the next day. Like my basic needs have to be covered because I have...
You must be a Cancer.
No, I am a Sagittarius.
Okay.
I am a Sagittarius, but I very much like to feel safe and comfortable. And that was just not one of his priorities at all. He loves not knowing where he's going to sleep the next night. He loves that gritty, just kind of grinding it out. But then it's really interesting because his parents, his background, his parents are very wealthy. They live in Brentwood, LA. Sorry, I shouldn't have said that, but they have a very nice house, and he's got all the money in the world at his disposal. So he's like never going to be in a situation where he can't support himself. So he kind of has the luxury to be able to be like, I'm just going to go off and have a bike adventure. Not a lot of people have that.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. And I mean, I've grown up in Orange County my whole life, and there's people that, they've really never, they're going to fall into the family business or whatever, and they're set, and they can go have a crazy adventure. And I mean, I've definitely known some kids to do some wild things back in high school, just supported like that. And on top of that, and I've actually met his parents in Hawaii.
Very nice.
Very nice. Very nice. They're super supportive. I've seen them on his bike adventures. Like, they show up to where he's staying in Mexico and visit him for a couple days. Like, that's the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
So, hey, maybe I'd be doing the same thing if I was him. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So moving on from Jackson, I did bring up in the beginning of this show that, and this wasn't a shit talking thing, guys, just so that everybody doesn't get that twisted. We're just kind of discussing. We happen to be discussing live. But anyway, interesting that you pointed those things out about him and his personality. And, I don't know. I just feel like there's other vegans out there that are curious. And if they are out there, please contact me, and that they'd like to potentially try things outside the vegan diet, especially with all of this sort of like carnivore stuff coming out recently in the past year or two. And I know that you're not a fan of the carnivore diet, specifically like all 100% meat, animal foods, whatever. And I also want to make a comment. You said, how would Elise feel if she had to eat your platter or whatever, or split the platter? Well, I know that she ate a significant amount of plant foods when she was on her Hawaii retreat, because it was a vegan retreat. So she was basically forced to eat, she was forced to eat plant-based there, and she was having a miserable experience. But if she had to eat one meal, and let's say, I'm sure your meal was pretty healthy and pretty good, I'm sure she would be okay. She wouldn't have any anxiety about it. She's not like, oh my God, the plants are going to kill me, the oxalates. That's not how she is. Right. It's more like, God damn it, I had some extra potatoes the other day, and it really or yesterday, and it's not making me feel good today. It's more like, it's more reactionary,
Yeah, no, I totally think that. But that's actually exactly what I mean by anxiety. Like that, I mean, anxiety on the level of, I'm going to feel bad after eating this. And you must know, nobody who has an idea in their head that, sugar gives me a headache is going to be able to eat sugar and be like, not expecting a headache, right?
Well, that's not true, but I'm not going to spill the beans on that. In her case,
Trust
me, she's constantly testing limits. She's always testing the limits, though. That's the part of her extreme personality, and in a good way, in my opinion, is, okay, this thing is causing me problems. Like, I'm going to figure out a way that allows me to enjoy and engage in this thing, because she doesn't want to live a super rigid lifestyle. I went carnivore to test it out after veganism, just so that I could see the opposite side of that box. I wanted to see if all the things they said about the digestion were true. I wanted to see if the mental clarity was true. And for the most part, it was. I got way more benefits trying carnivore than I ever did trying vegan. I could say that with 100% certainty. Right.
But what would have happened? I mean, I can think of so many other interesting experiments too that you could do after you're done with this round. Mm-hmm. Like take someone that's been normal diet, just standard, put them straight to the carnivore diet.
That's what I want to do the next round.
Do straight to the vegan diet, and then also, vice versa. So that's really interesting. Elise seemed really level-headed, and I can't believe though that she's vegan keto. Like, she told me a little bit about her diet, like in the past year before she started eating meat. And I was like, I tried vegan keto for a few weeks and actually felt like I was on my last leg. Like, that is like so difficult. She said she was
All
just
you're eating is
eating like
avocado.
greens and avocado or something.
Pretty much, yeah. She was miserable. I mean,
Insane.
she was losing weight. She didn't feel good. Her digestion was
Yeah.
bad. I mean, everything was going bad at that time for
Yeah.
her. So, I wanted
But
to.
most people, like the normal, like average person, if you tell them, like, yeah, I'm just eating greens and avocado, I feel like shit. They'd be like, no, duh.
Yeah, exactly.
You're just eating
That's
greens
obvious,
and
right?
avocado? You're crazy.
Well, in the vegan head, you're thinking, well, the vegan food is the way to go. The plants are going to do this magical thing for me. And that's just kind of where we're at, you know?
Yeah, totally. What are people saying in the chat? Do we have anything? I've been watching the chat a little bit, but
we'll get to them. Don't worry about them. Don't worry about
lags.
It's about 10 seconds behind. It's not too far, but we'll get to them at the end. And guys, save your questions if you have them for Izzy. I'm trying to focus here, guys. All right.
All right, focus. What else?
So I wanted to ask you. You brought up Ravana, you brought up Elise, and these big followings. The barrier to exit. How was your exit? Did you have any backlash, and how did you recover from that? Because you seem to have a lot of support from your community. To be honest with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So.
Or are they just all ASMR creepos?
Are you curious more? Are you curious more about people in my real life, or like my internet?
Your internet, social
backlash.
media influence. Yeah.
Social media backlash. Not that bad. I think because I started making ASMR videos during the process. Well, I mean, not during the process. I was still vegan for a long time. But I wasn't talking about my diet so much. And my following went from like 50K to, 70, 80, 90K in the span of a few months. And those were all ASMR followers.
Nice.
Unfortunately, I didn't really feel like I connected with my audience after that anymore. And it wasn't because they weren't vegan at all. It was just because they were like weirdos.
ASMR creepos.
Just like creepos. Just like absolutely trolls and weirdos all over my channel. So YouTube kind of just, the community on there for me just went to shit. And Instagram was really like where I felt a little bit more like my followers were actually, they actually knew me and weren't just trolling. So yeah, I made a couple like posts and stories just kind of hinting and sharing my thoughts, and I did it very gradually. And there was always like the few people that would DM me and get really mad or leave a comment that I was very disappointing. And I did let it get to me. I don't know. I have a pretty strong head on my shoulders, and I'm like, usually don't think twice about what someone else's opinion is about me, but it is like hard to hear that people they once trusted me and now they don't trust me anymore. I really don't like to not be trusted. Doesn't feel good. It feels confusing because I'm like, well, I trust myself and I know that this is my truth. So why is that not coming across? Am I not coming across as genuine? What am I doing wrong? And it's frustrating too, because I'm like, I think I did that to a few people when I was vegan, and other people would fall off the wagon, as Frida would say, whatever. I'm pretty sure I commented and did a couple things, not mean, but like just like spitting a couple facts and then trying to, in hopes that they would read it and change. And even when people do that to me, I don't like it. I get, I don't feel attacked. I just feel like it's a bummer because they're probably going to end up changing.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, we have the stats on that. We know that most vegans leave, and I've said this a million times, but out of the 20-something people that were there in Hawaii, I mean, less than half of them are still vegan since I left. Yeah. So all of them, I mean, some of them were 10 plus year vegans, 3 of them were 10 plus year vegans and are no longer vegan. So people who are I love these little 2 or 3 year vegans that are thinking the world is still, amazing. It's just one big ripe peach for them. And then, years 4 and 5, I would like to know, have you noticed any delineation of where people start to deteriorate at a certain point in your experience with veganism? I don't know. How long were you vegan?
5 years.
So this is the magical point that I'll... 4.5 years. 4.5 years.
I also see this. I might be biased because it was my personal experience, but I've had a couple friends as well in my personal life. So I have a lot of like personal vegan friends. And then, I have a theory. I think you've talked about it a little bit, but my theory, and this is true, your body can hold on to nutrients and store them in your tissues. And, you've been eating animal products for 20 years of your life. And then at 20, you go vegan, and every time you're going to make a change in your diet, you're going to feel amazing. And especially you're like high off of all the sugar every meal. And it's just like high. So you're going to feel amazing. And then like it just slows down. The amazingness kind of wears off, and you're slowly depleting your body of a couple key vitamins and minerals that you're not able to get from plants, in my opinion.
What do you think those are? Because vegans are always saying, name the nutrient. What are you not getting specifically? It's like, doesn't even matter, does it?
I would say B12. I would say iron. I would say even things like zinc and magnesium. And then, there are like a bunch of phytochemicals that we can't like name off. Like we don't know them. I
think I argued with Jackson about that. I was like, we don't even know all of the nutrients and everything. They're like, we have everything figured out.
No idea.
No.
Science doesn't work like that. They can't take a piece of food and like put it under some special machine and be like, okay, this is everything that's in it. They have to know about it, and then they have to do a specific test to like confirm that it's there. So think about all the things that we don't know. I mean, this is the kind of stuff I learned in school that really made me realize that I know nothing. Because I learned, I had many lab classes. And, many of my friends worked in labs. My boyfriend works in a lab. He works at a huge university in a research lab and does biology research. So I learned kind of like how the scientific process works. And you realize that it's not like that. We don't just like take a slab of food and then like have a profile of what's in it. Yeah. We have no idea. You have to know about it. You have to make like a theory, and then you just have to like do a bunch of tests over and over again and confirm that it's true. So we can't even name everything that's missing. And I particularly think there must be something in salmon and in beef and in eggs, because like those are the foods that vegans tend to crave and go back for. Yeah. So
did you crave foods when you were leaving veganism? Is it something that you wanted?
Yeah.
Well, tell us about that.
I was like a salmon fiend for the last few years, and I grew up eating salmon a lot. I don't know. My parents just cooked it a lot. I'm Scandinavian. Fish is like, big part of our diet. And that was the thing that I knew would be hard to give up. I was like, dairy, easy, because there's almond milk and it's all good. And like, there's pretty good vegan cheese, and there's pretty good vegan, like fake beef substitutes. Have you ever had a good vegan salmon?
No. I saw Supreme Banana did a video recently talking about like this fake. This is the thing that's really weird. So vegans know that processed vegan food is not that good, because everybody knows that the whole food plant-based diet is the way to go, right? So they know inherently in their diet that the processed stuff is not that good.
Right.
But they're willing to sort of go slum it a little bit and go eat like the tuna, like the fake tuna packet. Because I saw Supreme Banana did a video where she put this nasty store-bought vegan tuna on these crackers, and she even said it wasn't that good, but she ate it anyway. So she's obviously craving that sort of profile. So she's willing to eat a known processed vegan food that is less healthy than the real thing.
Yeah.
She's willing to eat it. It doesn't taste as good.
Yeah.
And yet she's still craving it, and she's still going after it and eating it. That to me is bordering on some type of weird mental eating disorder, in my opinion. That I just thought of that right now. I haven't flushed that out, so people please don't sue me. But
one thing I craved a lot because it was in, like, you always, so when you put yourself on a menu and you're like, this is my diet, this is what's on the menu for me, you're gonna like crave things that are on that menu. Right? So what was on my menu that was like kind of the closest thing I could think of to fish was seaweed salad. So, you know, when you go have sushi and you get like the green seaweed salad, I would like have, you know, I'd go a few weeks and then one day I would just be like, I need it. I need the seaweed salad. So
Elise is the same, literally the same. She loves seaweed, and she was obsessed with salmon the first like several months. She switched. She doesn't eat that much salmon anymore. She's like
it's omegas. People are saying in the chat. Yeah, I think it's omegas, omega-3s, but also probably a bunch of nutrients and phytochemicals that we don't even know about.
I know. I remember Evan Rock when I went on the I went on a Hawaii retreat on his land, like back in 2016, I think. And he was loving telling me, he's like, yeah, there's all these like polyphenols and phytonutrients that we're like still discovering, and even bananas and fruits. And he was all into the chemistry of the plants and growing them all and stuff like that, explaining how the soil is depleted, and a lot of the food that we even grow is not even real food because it doesn't even have those nutrients and vitamins from the soil. It's all depleted. And I was like, wow, that's really interesting. And then of course, a couple of years later, I'm no longer eating vegan foods, and people don't want to accept that that's the case also for the animal food side. Like, we don't know everything that's in beef and fish and all this stuff. And even if we do, it doesn't mean that, like, for instance, one of the things that the carnivore side points out to vegans is that vegan food is vitamin A deplete, basically. But we're not seeing vegans vitamin A deficient. So that's something that I don't think we even really can fully explain yet. We know that there's like, they're making it from the precursors and stuff like that into retinol, I believe. Hopefully I'm not messing these words up.
Yeah, no, you're right.
But we are seeing them sometimes iron deficient, and we are seeing them sometimes vitamin D deficient more than average, and they're not able to recover whilst on the vegan diet. Like, I know a girl personally that was iron deficient, got blood tests. Doctor was like, you are in danger of serious health problems here. You need to start supplementing with foods that contain iron, not vegetables. Because she was already eating very high iron vegetables and was not retaining any of it. Yeah. Within 3 weeks, she got back on animal foods from being vegan for over 5 years.
Yeah.
Instantly, her health turns around. No longer iron deficient. Her hormones balanced like that. She was able to have a period again. She hadn't had a period without having a estrogen patch on her in over 7 years.
Wow.
We're talking within a month of going back to animal foods. How can the vegans deny this stuff? They say, oh, you should have been able to fix it on the vegan diet. It's like,
bioavailability is real.
Bioavailability is real.
It's very real. And the way these nutrients are packaged in a plant is different than how it's packaged in an animal food. You can imagine that when you're eating an animal, it's literally like, it's not human meat, obviously, but it's like, it's a piece of a body. So it's in the composition that it would already like be inside of a, mammal. I have to really go pee. So I'm going to think about this. You can talk to them for a second and I'll be right back.
Okay. All right. Well, Charlie says, at least did you block my other account? Just because people like Drew's content doesn't mean they need to like you. Ugh. Why are people on the internet so weird? Why do you have to be so hateful, so mean? Just relax, guys. We're just killing and slaughtering animals and eating them by the millions, okay? Deal with it. Because it's making us healthier. We have to do it. I'm sorry. Well, I'm not sorry, but that is the way it works. You're hearing nutritionist Izzy. She was also a vegan. We're giving you the damn keys here. Please. Izzy's dope.
Woo!
She's
So
back.
much better.
Okay, let me pop you back in. All right. Yeah, so I was going to ask you also, what, now that you've studied, so what's your exact credential, I guess, or what did you study specifically?
I studied nutritional sciences, and then within that, human physiology and metabolism. It's a long title.
Cool. What did you learn in that? If you could if you could boil it down into like a couple points, what did you get out of that you wish more people knew about in the regular world, or especially in the vegan world, let's say?
Yeah.
We've already talked a little bit about the understanding what nutrients are in foods and all that stuff.
That the soil and the conditions in which the food is grown have possibly the biggest impact on how healthy that food is for you. If you look across like all these meta studies and everything, Mediterranean diet, the keto diet, blah, 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 you're going to see trends and you're going to see things and you can put pieces together. But what you're really going to have to realize is that you, in your real life, you can never achieve the same exact results as someone else because you're not having access to the same exact food. Even like one carrot that is grown next to another carrot can be different. And then also there's the environment, and then also there's your genetics, and then how much you exercise, and like literally everything. So I would say that it's not so much about the diet or the profile of macronutrients that you follow. Stick to quality food and you'll be good. And you'll, your movement and your weight and all of that should kind of fall into place if you're focusing on quality of food. And no professor ever told me that. That's just like what I kind of gathered from a zoomed out perspective after school. Just because by learning like a combination, I also took a lot of environmental classes. So like a combination of soil and stuff and depletion and just runoff and like everything that goes on in agriculture. So like from an agricultural perspective, and then tying that into the food system, and then you move over to like you and your actual life and what you're eating. It's all connected, and you can't even really compare yourself to someone that was eating the same diet as you 50 years ago. Yeah. So that's that when it comes to nutrition.
It's like you can't even, so even the correlative data that we have, even if there is some statistical significance, it still doesn't matter because that data is 50 years old anyway.
Yeah. And then another thing that I would say that I realized after taking all the environmental classes as well as the nutrition classes, and these two line up perfectly, which is great because it's good to have things that line up and make sense, but sometimes we don't. It's like eating plant-based. Yeah, you could argue, okay, a pound of meat versus a pound of plant protein, this many gallons of water, this many gallons of water. Totally true. But then another level up from that is like eating locally. And I'm not like, oh, go to a fancy restaurant and have the locavore dish and whatever. But I mean like you grow herbs in your backyard. You get your eggs from your neighbors. That is how humans were meant to eat, and that's the best way. And it's a level up on your nutrition, and it's a huge level up on the environment. It's unfortunate that I don't think I'm gonna live to see the day when we kind of like reverse agriculture. Like I think ideally we would take it from big back down to small. And in various districts and neighborhoods, there'd be like the meat guy, the egg guy, like you'd kind of have your little community, and you would, some people grow vegetables, you trade and swap, and that's how I think would be the best for you and the planet. So I try to do that as much as I can. Like I have neighbors across the street that have chickens, and they put them out on a little shelf, and they have a little tip jar, and you just take the eggs and you put a tip. And if I can't get eggs from there, then I typically don't buy them. And like, so some weeks I go without, and I'm like totally fine. I don't think you need that much animal product. But when you're recovering after like 5 years of depleting, you're gonna like kind of need to like balance it out for a while. So I've been experimenting with a little bit more and a little bit less some weeks. But overall, like I still feel good. I never had any horrible ailments on the vegan diet. More so just like little cravings, honestly. And I was like, I'm sick and tired of fighting those cravings. That's pretty much it.
And that would be an ethical concern or a willpower concern for most vegans. They're going to say that you being honest about that would be a weakness in you somehow. And, your body tells you to have chocolate too. You shouldn't be eating chocolate all that much,
Yeah.
So
it's like, I eat chocolate all the time.
Trust me, I eat everything now. I call it health confidence. It's like knowing that the stuff you put in your body is not going to completely destroy you the next day.
Yes.
That's
so that you're not a
quality of life.
self-fulfilling prophecy.
Oh, I want to be able to be a tank. I want to be lean, fit, performance-oriented, good blood tests, and still be eating a very flexible diet. I want to have cake and cookies sometimes. I want to drink beer sometimes. And in the extreme worlds, you need to be like super dialed in. But to me, that's a sickness in itself. Your quality of life is not that good. Again, the quality of life is down, but like maybe your blood tests are good. So who cares? You know?
Yeah. And I come from a different background than you. I was diagnosed with anorexia when I was 14. So I had a really, really bad eating disorder, got really, really skinny, thin. It was also, related to exercise. It was kind of a, it was just a total low in my life. And when I picked back up and everything, started to feel better, I was like, my mission in life now is to help other people never fall into that. And then I did again. Because when I went vegan, and I'm not blaming veganism, but I will say that people like Freely are an absolute horrible example for young girls. They're up there promoting that leanness is the goal in life. And that's like, maybe to her, that's fine because she doesn't have an eating disorder. I don't know. I think that some people, it might be genetic, but like some people just have something in their brain where they can like, if they want to, they can just dial into this like complete psycho sick mode. And other people will never understand it. So I was very influenced by a lot of these people online that, leanness and weight loss. I was never really into the idea of losing weight from veganism, but I definitely wanted to be lean. I definitely thought that that was important or something. And so I dipped back down. I fell back into that twice. I had 2 relapses during my veganism from my eating disorder. So, my weight would like go, I'm 5'9", and I would get to like 125 pounds. And I'm, my set point should be like 140, 145. So I'm like, I would like lose a lot of weight, and my period would stop. I would just feel depressed and sad all the time. And then I'd be like, oh shit, I'm being really restrictive with my diet again. I'm like, I'm over exercising and I'm under eating and I'm fasting and I'm doing this and doing that. And like, there are so many people that think that they want the end result of the leanness. But if you actually try it and you go through all those extremes, the emotional toll that it takes on you is not worth it. So now my mission in life is to kind of be like, I would rather not have whatever. My body is perfect as it is, but I'd rather just live my life and be like, we're being so, I think you're being greedy if you're like, I want to be perfect. I want to have a lean, ripped body and just, why? Like, why? Like, really, I think for me, it turns into a sickness when I go down that route. Because I have that thing in my brain. And maybe not everyone does, but for me, if I start going down the route of like, I'm going to go hard on my restrictions and I'm going to fast and I'm going to do this and that, literally within a few months, things just go downhill. And I have a strong willpower. I can stick with whatever like rules that I set for myself. But it's to my detriment sometimes because I'll have the physical results, but I'm like emotionally very not doing, not happy. So that's not worth it.
Well, just from my subjective point of view, I mean, you look so much better and healthier these days than I remember you ever looking back 4 years ago or whenever I first saw your channel. So that's interesting to me. So whatever you're doing, clearly working. So congrats on that.
Thanks.
Do you think that you would ever consider a carnivore diet for yourself, just like as an experiment or out of curiosity?
I would do it as an experiment. It would be tough though, because doing it for more than a few weeks, I feel like it would just turn into every other experiment that I've ever done, which is
you're
like
just over it these days.
It turns into a fear of whatever's not that experiment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, your barrier, you build your barrier to exit up very high very quickly is what I'm learning here.
Yeah, I have
put yourself
a
in the
type
hole.
of personality where once I'm in, I'm like all in.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah. Jackson was
can
like
see
that as well. So
Hmm.
that's why our relationship was difficult, because he triggered me and I triggered him.
He also, I think maybe one of the things that you perhaps bonded over back in the day was you both kind of came from an eating disorder background as well, right?
Yeah.
So
it
he's
totally
open about
just like, it totally just fed.
it.
It was not good.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't want to bring him up again because
Right.
I have all this. I just said in the beginning of this thing, like, I'm done talking about other people in terms of like, people are making all kinds of content these days. And I'm sure you've had people talk about you and it doesn't feel great, but I'm the type, I like to fight back. I really enjoy shooting back. I really do.
Yeah.
But it's not helping me do my mission, which is to grow the channel and rise above that crap. So I have to do it. I have to just basically turn a cheek. And I can't, unfortunately, I love to talk more about Jackson, but it just, to me, it feels like now I'm going to have 5 more vegans make more videos about me. And I'm just like, ugh, I don't even want to go down that route. It's
let's
useless.
not. I really would not like to. By the way, if anyone's watching that's thinking of making a video, I would really appreciate if you didn't.
Just don't.
It's embarrassing. It's so embarrassing. I have a professional job and I do not want that. I can't scrub the internet of what I've already done, but I do not want more.
Well, we can we can make this pretty professional interview. So,
Yeah.
now anybody who has a question for Izzy, this is about the time we start getting into that. We've had her on for a bit. We'll cruise for another, 20 minutes or so? 20, 30 minutes
Yeah.
maybe?
It's good. So do you, when you're watching this, because I'm on Google Hangouts looking, do you watch the chat?
I have one eye on the chat, and then I have one eye. See, right here I'm looking at you.
Yeah.
And right here I can also look at you, and you're my full screen. And then
Do you
also
have two
the chat
screens?
is right next to it. I have 3 screens.
Oh, wow.
It's a whole setup here.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. Well, I've got one screen, so I'm going to just go over to the chat, but try not to look at the image because it bothers me that it's 10 seconds behind.
As long as we have you on video, then you can do whatever. Oh,
Okay.
wait, what's 10 seconds behind? The actual...
When I'm on YouTube?
Yeah. That's 10 seconds behind for sure.
Yeah.
But this whole time you've been 10 seconds behind with that? Or
No,
you've been
this
looking
whole
at Google Hangouts?
I've been looking at Google Hangouts.
Okay, cool. I should
So
be like
now-
a half-second delay, or you should be a half-second delay. I forget which one it is.
Yeah.
JG Lee, thanks for the super chat. He says, wise words from Izzy about greed. Thank you. That's
Wow.
what's up, man. Tanks,
Thank you.
I like to play, says, I love this content, but I wish Drew would develop a personality. Okay, I will work on that one.
I think you have a very big personality. It takes a lot for someone to want to come on the internet and just like, you share so much about your personal life. There aren't many personalities that want to do that. Most people are like, they don't want to get on stage.
Yeah, it's just all part of it. I just going vegan and feeling a bit ripped off from the whole experience. I feel like I can really save people a lot of time and help them.
I want to answer, I think it was Travis's question. What did you learn about human digestion? In school, I really learned a lot about the intestinal walls. So the cells that line your intestines. And there are all these receptors and there are all these cool mechanisms by which nutrients go in from your intestine, which, by the way, it's interesting that from your mouth to your butthole is considered, in that tube is considered outside of your body, right? It's like inside, but it's actually not inside. So how the food gets from outside to inside, I learned a lot about that, and I learned a lot about how food sensitivities and inflammation can basically destroy those cells that line your intestine, and that's when people get IBS and Crohn's disease and even just like more mundane bloating and irritation and gas and issues like that. It all has to do with the cells that line your intestines, and they're very special and you have to take care of them.
The villi?
Yes. The villi are like, they're like a projection of the cell, but the actual cell is there's a bunch of cells on the villi. The villi are the shape of this like puzzle of cells. So the villi make it so that there's even more cells per surface area. It's some crazy number of like how many cells are lining your intestines because of those villi. They make the surface area able to be even bigger. But yeah, just all, your intestines are super magical.
I agree. And do you think there's anything to like juice fasting helping cleanse the villi or the intestines in any way?
Well, I mean, if you're not eating solid food, your intestines don't have much to do. So, I don't know about the benefits of them not having anything to do, but if you want to like give them nothing to do for a while, that sure.
Is there any benefit to it?
I don't know if that's good.
Is there any benefit to it, do you think?
I don't know. I would say no if you zoom out and you take like the end result, because most people end up like gaining weight afterwards because they were starving themselves. They end up having really low energy and just being hangry and really hard to be around during that time. So I would say no. But from a scientific, like from a just purely scientific perspective, I don't know. I don't know.
See, that's how I know I do not have an eating disorder, because when I do these little starvation experiments where I do juice fasting stuff, I do not gain the weight back fast at all. I struggle to put back the weight, and it's very frustrating to me. I don't enjoy eating that much. I really just don't. It's okay. It's not.
Are you
high
the
on my
kind of
priority
person
list.
that kind of wishes that there was just like a pill you could take?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
If I could just put an IV bag in my arm and just like have the 100% optimal nutrition, that's the route I would take. I really would. And then just unplug it when I need to go and do activities. Like a cell phone charger.
That's so funny because I love food. I love the experience of eating. It's like so important to me.
I do not have that connection.
So that's interesting. Okay, let's see. Hey, Izzy, I was wondering what your diet looks like presently. After leaving veganism behind like you, it's been an interesting experiment and would love to hear what's working for you right now.
Good question.
Sure. I'm not going to say that this is working for me because I've always been fine and I'm still fine. So I don't want to say that nothing was working for me before and now this is working for me. But what I'm eating now, I would say it's more on the paleo end. I don't eat that many grains unless they are fermented, so like sourdough bread. But I do like it. I don't restrict myself if it's like the only option. But if I had the option, I'm a little bit more on the paleo end. I eat a lot of like alternative types of flours and if I'm gonna have like chips, it's probably like a coconut chip or like a cassava chip. I love this brand called Siete Foods. I eat a lot of avocado. I eat fish and eggs probably once or twice a week. I don't really eat red meat. I've had a couple bites here and there. Don't eat dairy often. Like if I'm at a party and there's a cookie and I'm hungry and I feel like having it, I'll eat it. And there might be butter in it. And I don't know. You know what I mean? I mean, I don't
just never straight up eat like a savagely nasty meal. Like you go to some Mexican food place in the corner and just hammer down like a burrito and chips and beans and rice. Do you ever do anything like that?
No, I don't do that.
You gotta
I
spend more
have
time
way
with
too
us.
much anxiety to do that. Because I have okay, this is like another interesting thing about me.
I need to teach you about health confidence, Izzy. Come hang out with us.
Yes. I have a big phobia of getting sick. It's like one of like this, it's just like a really weird phobia. So I cannot eat something that maybe in 3 hours will not sit right with me because I'll give myself a complete anxiety trip. So I do have to be kind of like, confident about what I'm eating. And I guess I've been pushing the envelope on that just as I'm eating animal products and not really, putting too much energy and focus into caring like whether something has dairy in it or whether it was cooked with such and such oil, whatever.
Are you a believer in like, I don't know if it's neurolinguistic, but it's like when you say words, do you believe that they have an effect on you? Do you know what I'm talking about? Like what you call things.
Yeah.
So one of the things that Primal Edge Health got into my head was only vegans will say animal products. They're not products. They're animal foods. So that is something that I now forever and ever, I do not use animal products anymore. I use animal foods because that's what
they're
they are.
animals. They're
animals.
They are just bits and pieces of animals chopped and cooked and
that's food. That's food.
It's not. Yeah, all food is food, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
No,
just
yeah,
one of those things.
I
But
agree.
he always called me. He's like animal foods, and it took me a minute, and boom, that's it. Now I'm like, okay, now I see it. It's like it changed a little bit about the way that I can view it. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
that's food, you know.
Yeah. If any of you on the chat are curious to see like what my meals look like, I do post food on Instagram, and they're a pretty accurate representation of like what my meals look like. So you'll see a lot of them are vegan. They're a little bit higher fat, a little bit lower carbs. I really don't have like fruit meals anymore, ever. Actually, never. And yeah, it's a little bit more on the paleo, plant-based with a little bit of meat and dairy, eggs kind of thing. Yeah.
Perfect. Let's see if there's any other little questions.
Yeah. Manifesting.
I was going to ask you something, but I forgot. Oh, I wanted to ask you about the ASMR community.
Oh, yeah.
Are you still doing that content, and like how has that been? Because I've noticed that, you know, if you are an attractive young female and you start putting out ASMR content, like, people out there in the chat, if you're struggling for money, this is like YouTube stripper money. Basically,
Yes.
ASMR will make you into a star overnight.
Yes. And
So
anybody can do it. And I
anybody
thought
can do it.
it was so funny when I first started, and I got a lot of positive response. Like, so many people would tell me that I was talented and that my ASMR was special. And you go on everyone else's channel and they're also saying the same thing. And I've had like the most unsightly, unlikely to be soothing, calming, relaxing people, and I've had them try to just do something ASMR-ish to me, and I'm like, wow, it almost works even better. The weirder you are, like, the better it works. I don't even know why. There's this old man, don't know what his channel is called, but if you type in ASMR mochi ice cream or something, there's this like 7-year-old man who just disgustingly eats on camera, and like, it doesn't give me ASMR. I don't enjoy it, but he has millions of views on every single video that he puts out. You have to be careful because ASMR can be difficult to monetize. So a lot of my videos are actually not monetized, unfortunately.
Really?
Thanks to
Even the
YouTube.
stuff that you've done? Because
Yeah.
you have pretty PG. You're not out there licking ears and
Nope.
weird stuff like that. So
No, but I do have a couple videos where I'm like scratching someone's back, and it's like, you know, it's like two girls sitting on a bed, like whatever. Right. That's not PG enough.
I think that one's popped up. Like, those videos are actually popping up in my recommended sometimes. I have watched quite a bit of ASMR, so I'm totally down with it. But it's just funny to me because I'll see new girls pop up, and literally within a couple of weeks they have like 100,000 subscribers, and I'm like, oh, what am I doing wrong here?
I know, but don't do it. I would say if you want to like keep your authentic following, don't do it.
No, it's not something. I don't think that it would be in my wheelhouse anyways. It's not going to be my thing. Yeah. Any final questions for Izzy, guys? I've had a good time here talking with you, by the way. I had no idea.
You've got a nice microphone though, so you could do it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but ASMR eating videos are disgusting. I agree.
Very disgusting.
I hate them.
Totally agree with that. That's not my thing.
Someone just said, I just found my new side gig. Yeah. Also though, if I could start over and do it all again, I would have started a separate ASMR channel, and I would have kept it like, I would like wear a mask in all my videos and have like an anonymous persona.
That's the way to go.
Yeah, that's the way to go, because then you can have all the side hustle you want, and you can still work your normal day job.
Has anybody ever approached you from your ASMR stuff?
No, not really. And they don't say that. They probably did know me from that, but they just say that they know my YouTube channel.
Okay, so they try and remain somewhat anonymous on why they know you?
Yeah.
That's funny.
But yeah, no, I'm not doing it anymore. I don't have time. I am like really, really busy with work. So I don't, I work at a consulting firm, by the way. I think you said that like I was coming home from work. Today is a very rare day that I'm working from home. So after this,
I thought you worked at a cycling place.
What?
I thought you did cycling classes. Like you worked at.
Yeah, that's my side hustle now.
Okay.
So
okay. You're just doing that for fun.
Yeah, that's for funsies.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Somebody said, "What would you try a carnivore diet?" I already asked her. She said she would maybe consider it on a experimental basis, but probably not the best idea long term for her for multiple reasons.
Yeah. No way. And I mean, don't you think also though, like for you and even for Elise, it's not you hope not to be on the complete carnivore forever. It's more like a
For me, I did it
fix.
for 40 days. Yeah, I did legit 100% carnivore for 40 days, coming straight out of veganism, and that was it. I didn't continue on that. I started eating as soon as I got home back to California because I moved away from Hawaii right after the experiment. My 40-day carnivore experiment ended.
Yeah,
and I was smashing everything. It was like Christmas holiday season, Thanksgiving. I was eating all the foods, all the cookies, all the everything, and I don't put on weight. I really just don't. I'm sorry to the people out there. I just can't eat enough food to actually gain weight no matter what I'm eating. So, it's not like I'm stuffing myself all day long. Believe me, if I sat here with a box of cookies and I made a point to drink a gallon of milk and eat the box of cookies because I had it right here in front of me and I forced it, I could definitely gain weight. I've gained weight. I know how to gain weight. I've done it many times for the bodybuilding stuff, but
I'm
it's
like
not
you too, though, in that sense. Even though I love food and I love food is a big part of my life, like I could do fasting, and I could, if it's like not in front of me, I have no problem just kind of like feeling a little bit of hunger. I'm just like.
Do you intermittent fast or anything like that?
So sometimes I teach in the morning, right? And it's like an 8 a.m. class, and I'm not going to get up at 6 to eat breakfast. So yeah, sometimes I don't eat breakfast till 10 or 11, and other days I wake up and I eat breakfast at 7. It's really not anything intentional, but yeah, no, I tried intermittent fasting many times. I've done it in phases, and for me, I think it's a really powerful tool if you're overweight. I think it's an amazing tool to lose weight if you need to for health reasons.
Absolutely.
It's a good, it mimics your body into that starvation state, can really help get things moving and kind of launch you forward. But if you're already like at your healthy weight, it's basically going to just make you eat less, because if you have a shorter window to eat, you're less likely to get in as many calories as you were eating before. So what I always find is that during my intermittent fasting, and even like it even happens to me today still, like on some days when I don't get to eat breakfast till really late, then that breakfast kind of turned into lunch, and then it's like kind of awkward. I don't really have time for like another meal because I like to be hungry for my meals. So I'm like, at the end of the day, I'm kind of still hungry when I'm going to bed, and then I can't sleep. And it's just really like, not great for me. It affects my sleep. It's hard to get in enough calories during that window. I'm a very active, slim, healthy person, so I don't need to be doing any of that. But if it's something you want to try, I'd say go for it.
I do employ a 2 meal a day approach. It seems to work for me. Like right now I'm pretty hungry, to be honest, but it's because I've been eating so many more carbs lately. I feel like it does make you way hungrier for that next meal. But again, still there's no weight gain. Like I'm trying my hardest to eat a big lunch and a big dinner, and I'm eating cookies and stuff like that with these meals.
Yeah.
I'm just off the deep end, guys. I can't control myself.
All right. Well, I want to go eat too, because I actually also haven't eaten, because I had a bad night of sleep last night, you
Okay.
said you did too.
Yes.
There must have been something in the SoCal air because I was
It was full moon, I
totally,
think.
yeah, I was totally like alert. And then this morning I slept in right until I had to leave to go teach. And then now I did this and, you know, very hungry. So let's go eat.
All right, sounds good. I will say bye to you now, and I will close things up with my audience. Izzy, thank you for coming on the show. Everybody say goodbye to her, and we'll talk soon.
Bye. Thanks for having me.
Bye. See ya. Okay. Big thanks to Izzy Davis. Hope you guys enjoyed that. I know I did. Drew is an undercover carnivore. Man, I've been accused of being a vegan lately, you guys, because of my experiment results and among other things, apparently. I don't get it, but it's all good. It's all good, man. I'm maturing here in front of you guys on the internet. I can't defend myself and fight every fight anymore. I can't give the airtime to our buddies Vegan Foot Soldier and Michelle Lowe and blah 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 blah, all the other dummies that come along. You know? Michelle's not a dummy. I have respect for people who come on the show. If you come on the show, we're cool. I don't really care what you say after that. I'm not even gonna bother. If you got negative stuff to say about me and gonna make videos, I'm just gonna ignore it. Not because I'm too cool to respond, but literally because I'm not going to watch. There you have it. He is Elise's secretary. Where did these people come from? Where do they come from? Every video I have, 30%, 40% dislikes. Just keep it coming. Doesn't matter. We're going to keep growing the audience. There's nothing you triggered vegans can do. Sorry to tell you. But I'm glad you're enjoying this content. It's the best on the internet. It's objective. It's transparent. It's unbiased. We do our own experiments. We take both sides into consideration. It's rare. It's rare to see. I'm sorry it upsets you. I've had a lot of people thank me for having people go vegan after the carnivore experiment, by the way. It was enough to convince them wholeheartedly that veganism is the way. These people accept very minuscule data. Tofool says, Drew, do you still work out at home? Would be cool to train with you. Always nice to have a training buddy. I have not been working out for the last 3 to 4 weeks. As you all know, I've been having a bit of like chest pain. Chest pain right there. It's a costochondritis from what I understand. I haven't gone to the doctors or anything like that. I know they're just going to say rest on it. And I'm going to say, okay, this is a waste of my time. And it's all good. The costochondritis is annoying. And when I flex my abdominal section a lot, like when I work out doing calisthenic stuff, man, it hurts. It hurts for a couple days. So I've got to really just stay off of it. It's still bothering me. Chris Kruger, he's here for the handsome face. You talking about yourself, Chris? You talking about yourself? Come on, Chris. That's what I go to your channel for, man. Travis misses Izzy's face already. I miss it too. She was a great guest. I had a lot of fun with her. I had very few things written down on the sheet. You guys know that I like to take a little checklist, and this is how much I had written down. Right here. That's it. Those 2 lines. It says box, and it says quality of life diet. That's it. Actually, I take that back though. Elise sent me a few questions that she wanted me to ask her, so I threw that out there. They're good questions. Going Fu says, you saw that chest pain. I thought someone solved it. So it doesn't bother me on an all-day basis, but if I start going and like flexing my abdominal section really hard, then I notice that it will hurt for the next few hours, possibly the rest of the day. It's not as bad as it was a few weeks ago, so it is getting better. It is getting better. And I'm just kind of like, I have to really focus on pulling my shoulder blades back and kind of like taking the pressure off of that. Chris says, WTF, the results of the vegan to carnivore experiment was that the vegan got healthier in every measure by adding meat to his diet. I feel a video is coming, Chris. I feel a video is coming on that. Chest pain. That's because you're not vegan anymore. Dude, trust me, I was so scared. I was like, what did I do to myself? I'm eating carnivore. Literally within a month, I potentially give myself heart disease. Nah, it's not the case. I feel freaking fantastic, guys. I'm off the caffeine. I haven't even drinking or eaten anything today. I've had one sip of water, literally. I had this much water. Who's out here doing this? I'm so healthy. It's stupid. I'm eating cookies. Haven't gained any fat. That's ridiculous. Vegans, come on, man. Look at your boy over here. 4.5-year vegan. I did the damn thing, guys. I moved to Hawaii. I did the whole thing. It was a farce. Just accept it. It is what it is. I'm sorry. Might work for very few people out there. There's some unicorns out there that can eat starches or whatever forever. But for the most part, it ain't doing nothing for you. XX Dragon. I've cut the Red Bulls too, baby. I'm off all the caffeine. I have like a soda every few days. And a coffee every few days now. I've got it under control. Got it under control. I'm very happy with it. Chris Kruger haunts vegan gains nightmares like his daddy Freddy. Oh, come on, guys. All right. I know I said I was never going to bring up names, but when people say stuff in the chat, I got to like go with the flow. I'm just not going to make videos or comments about people's content. I don't have time to watch it. Michelle Lowe is going to make a video about me every single stream that I do. That's like 20 minutes out of my life every time that I stream. I got to watch her content. I got to watch Vegan Foot Soldier's content. I mean, at least his thumbnails are good, right? Vegan Foot Soldier, banging thumbnails, bro. I would like to hire you for my thumbnails. Adrian, why is Drew having so little subs? His content is top notch. Thank you, my boy. People just don't know about it yet. A lot of vegans or a lot of people out there are scared to sub to the channel. You should see my metrics, man. I have like very active chat, very active live viewers. For having so little viewers, so little subscribers, it's pretty cool, pretty honorable. Primal Nutritionist says 2 weeks off of coffee for me. Smart move. Constant stimulation of cortisol, not good. Yeah, I agree with you. There's probably a lot of things that people do that have constant stimulation of cortisol. For instance, I used to be like a hardcore competitive PC gamer, right? You know, if you're gaming all day long, and I'm the type of person, I get amped up, I get into the game, you know? Like when I watch movies, the same thing happens to me. I get into the movie, I get into the game, I'm really present. And dude, I was causing myself so much stress throughout the day probably by gaming and, you know, being in these high intensity situations and my heart's beating and I'm on caffeine on top of that. Cortisol's just pumping. Ugh, it's awful. I'm glad I have gotten that under control as well. Energy drinks are the worst if used regularly. I agree. They're pretty bad. I would never tell people that they're healthy for you, but they are fun to use. But I just feel like if you go long enough without caffeine, you kind of forget about it. And I'd rather be in that space than in the space of where I'm like trying to moderate my caffeine usage. It's really hard to do that. You think vegan gains is at least 240? Nathan, shout out to the people cutting caffeine. I'm not about that caffeineless life. Dude, live your life, bro. It's all good. There's nothing wrong with... Some people can handle... Like, I can eat junk food, right? And it doesn't really get to me. I can eat candy, and you could put all the sweets in the world in front of me, cake, and I don't really have that big of an issue turning it down. But for some reason, when I get on a caffeine kick and I'm really hammering on the caffeine consistently for days and days, I get into it and I have trouble turning that knob down. By the way, guys, this is a technical question regarding the audio. Can you guys let me know, were me and Izzy roughly the same audio levels? Because I've actually turned mine down a little bit. So I want to make sure that I don't seem quiet and the guest is overpowering me, just let me know. You can say you sounded fine or you were quiet. Please, that would be very helpful. Jackie Smith, is the main idea that you can be very healthy eating animal foods and do not cling to veganism if your health isn't good? That is my main idea. Yes. Very, very good synopsis of my channel. My whole vibe is if veganism isn't working for you, you should be allowed to try outside the diet. And if that works for you, great. If it doesn't work for you, go back to the plants. That's fine with me. Because even vegans will admit that about, 1 to maybe 10% of the population can't do veganism long term. So in that case, how do you know whether you're the 90% that can do it or the 10% that can't do it? Obviously, you try veganism. If things aren't working for you, then maybe you're part of the 10% that can't do the diet. And you got to do stuff outside of it. Tofu86, thank you for the $1 donation with nothing written. Dude, you look cool, bro. Dude, I'm loving the rocker hair with the bandana, dude. You look sick, dude. You look like a GTA Grand Theft Auto avatar, bro. Gung Fu, hire vegan foot soldiers on how to not train and eat. Do the opposite and you'll be fine. Exactly. My boy Gung Fu over here is jacked. Dude, how'd your results go, by the way? You never followed up with me. Got to let me know how your recent appointments went and all that stuff. Peasant's Daughter. Yeah, I used to be into gaming, but first-person shooter games were actually giving me anxiety. Oh, yeah. That game that came out, PUBG, Fortnite, those games where you have these top 10 situations. Once you get into the top 10, man, it gets intense. You want to win. You're listening. All your senses are like heightened. Your heart's beating. It gets really intense. Zombie Mukbang says he can fall asleep after drinking 3 coffees. It doesn't even have an effect on me. That worries me. Okay, audio's good. Thanks, guys. Appreciate that. Eli says, Drew, you're going to have kids one day with this newfound fertility? Bro, trust me, I am fertile, but I am trying to keep the lid on the kids right now. B. Burn says, I want to cut out coffee, but I drink butter in my coffee. Is it crazy to drink just butter and hot water? If you like it, go for it. How much butter are you really drinking in your coffee anyways? Like a tablespoon? So you could probably just pop it in. Chris, another thing that the vegans didn't admit in regards to the blood test was they all just kind of ignored the fact that doctors gave a recommendation for thyroid replacement for Chase based on his blood test. I haven't watched Mike the Vegan's video, but I assume that he glossed over that. If anybody's watched that, please confirm or deny that, because I'm not going to watch his video. It's just too much. There's too many videos out there. Chris Kruger says, bruh. Which vegans admit that any percentage of people can't have their best health on a well-planned vegan diet? They won't give a number. But they're basically willing to admit that some people can't do it. They don't want to give you a number, and they think it's extremely rare. I've gotten Jackson to kind of admit it. I think Ted kind of admitted it. I try and get every vegan that comes on the channel to admit it, at least to just say 1%. Just say 1% can't do it. That is enough for me. But they won't do that. They don't want to make me happy. Come on. Drinking decaf coffee just seems very pointless. Why would you do that? It's gonna be like drinking caffeineless beer or something like that. Or it's gonna be like drinking alcohol-free beer. Chris says Mike didn't say shit about it. Exactly. Mike the vegan, how come you said that the vegan blood tests were so amazing, but you didn't mention the fact that a 10-year vegan who ate a primarily whole foods plant-based diet before even starting the test had poor thyroid numbers, such to the fact that 1 or 2 of the doctors said that he should go on thyroid replacement immediately? That doesn't worry you at all, Mike. That just sweep right under the rug, right, vegans? You guys love to focus in on the things that benefit you, and the things that don't benefit you, you just ignore them completely. You also ignore the fact that Joe said he felt terrible while consuming the vegan diet. He had to take naps while doing his job that he doesn't normally have to take. And as soon as he went back on carnivore, he was able to complete his 20-hour shifts or whatever he was working throughout the night, and he didn't have any issues. How come you guys can't just be unbiased and take all the information as it is? See, I'm over here with all the information, right? And I'm not claiming a victory either way. I just see the tests. I say, okay, this is how you felt. Okay, take it at face value. Why is that so hard for you guys? Why? It's crazy. Nathan says, I think lots of people can't do the vegan diet. I'm not afraid to admit it. It's the truth. Well, thank you for your... Nathan, I know you always like to beef with me in the chat, but thank you for your honesty in that moment. Shoe Nice wants to be interviewed by you. Who's Shoe Nice? Zombie Mukbang says, I can't imagine most of the world could even do a well-planned vegan diet, only middle-class Western city kids. Yeah, probably. It's very hard to find legitimate, high-quality vegan food everywhere you go. Traveling as a vegan is a total bitch. Here in Southern California, I'm spoiled. I have access to like really good farmers markets. Lots of stuff is locally grown. This is where pretty much all the strawberries come from in the world. That's a wild statement, but it's there's a lot of good food here locally. And it's very expensive. As I was explaining to people, I was spending about $900 a month as a vegan on my diet. No expenses spared on my vegan diet. No expenses spared. Chris Kruger says it's a clear victory for eating meat. Well, let's talk more about that. Otis says, Shunai says she wants to file a lawsuit against PETA and vegan companies for making him sick. Will you interview him? I don't know who that is. Please post a link to their channel or wherever I can find them, and I'll look into it. One Punch Vegan, or Peasant's Daughters responding to One Punch Vegan. Absolute bullshit, and you know it. They quit within 5 years. Yeah, One Punch Vegan, come on, dude. We know that people are quitting the vegan diet by the droves in 5 years. Look, I said the magical line is 4.5 years, guys. That is the magical vegan line. I quit at 4.5. Elise quit right around 4.5. Izzy quit at 4.5. I know so many people who quit 4.5, 4.5, 4.5. And they all do it on their own. It's not like they already know that 4.5 years is the line. Joe nearly risked his job to stay vegan. Dude, God bless Joe. I hope Joe's recovering fully, man. I felt so bad for Joe. Joe was like sleepy after the experiment was over. One Punch Vegan says, vegan helps you stay healthy long term and not die of heart attacks. According to the Framingham data, pretty much everybody who's a health-focused YouTuber is healthy according to that data. Michelle Lowe included, Sean Baker, Vegetable Police, whether he was on vegan or carnivore, all their blood tests and all their clinical data show that they're actually very low risk for heart disease. So eat what you want. We already know the vegan thing is debunked with the ethical side, so eat what you want, right? Vegan Deterioration says, didn't Joe's cortisol crash? Why can't the vegan diet support the thyroid gland and adrenal glands? I don't know. I don't know if his cortisol crashed. I think it did, though. I think you're right. I haven't rewatched my own video. From my angle, getting the results from Dave real time was very difficult for me. I didn't have time to process all the numbers on the spot. Dave was throwing out all this information. I was trying to keep involved in the conversation. My memory of it is not that good. I need to go back and rewatch it. Also, some of it was over my head, to be quite frank. So I have no problem admitting that either. A Natural Vegan has not replied. No, I sent her an email. She did not reply to me yet. One Punch Vegan. Just go to... Okay, you need to go to Kruger Body on Instagram, and you need to tell me that this sexy stallion of a beast man is not healthy. Please. Please. Chris is not going anywhere. He's not dying of a heart attack anytime soon. One Punch Vegan's been vegan for 21 years. God bless you. Maja Larson quit veganism at 4.5 years. Yep, that's the spot. Veganism on paper absolutely says that. Good point, Peasant's Daughter. Veganism on paper is a great diet. Most of the time, some of the time, but in reality, it's just not that great. Amanda S. says, at the end of my vegan journey, I had to nap after every meal. Whew. Joe risked his wedding. Joe risked his job, his wedding. Ooh, X-Dragon, you think that he's a pure liar, huh? You don't believe that he's 21 years vegan? While we're on the subject of PETA, I have a story. I saw Neil Barnard at a hotel where I lived last year with his wife. Found out from the hotel staff she founded PETA. Figures. Interesting. Huh. I'm sure that can be looked up, right? I'm sure we could look more into that. Let's see here. Oh man, we got the chat is lit at the 3-hour mark, guys. What are you doing to me? You guys like this later time slot? I'm calling baloney homie too. Chris, I think that we should start doing for people like you who are in exceptional physical fitness and you want to prove that you're not on steroids, you can do an isotope ratio test along with a lie detector test. Third-party lie detector test. How dope would that be? You pass that, you're fucking natural in my opinion. Freestyle says, Jackson is a freak, no digestive problems after 7 years vegan, but only 26. True. And he also eats a lot because he's cycling a lot. JG Lee says, you should get the results ahead of time so you can ask the right questions. Yeah, maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll do that. But I also wanted to be in the dark so that I could... It wouldn't have changed anything. To be perfectly honest with you, I don't know enough about blood tests to actually ask the right questions unless I had somebody coaching me. Like if I talked to Bart K ahead of time or something like that and I had... I don't know. Somebody would have to coach me a bit. I don't know enough about him. And that's why I call in the experts for that, you know? Dave Feldman, he knows what he's doing. He got 4... interpretations of the blood test from 4 different doctors across all diatribes. One Punch Vegan, I'm sure you have 0 arteriosclerosis. I mean, so does Chris Kruger. Big deal. Big deal. Let's check out this shoe nice person. I'll put that on the little side panel here. Okay, so he's interesting. This guy for real? This guy for real? I don't know, man. I'm gonna have to look into his content. Drinking a 24-ounce Monster Energy in 10 seconds 4 hours ago? Hold up. We're gonna have to pop this on the screen right now. You kidding me? That's what's up, dude. This guy's tight.
Hey,
2-minute video?
everyone, you know me. Can be my 24-ounce Monster Energy drink slam. His link is in my description, and he's also on the front page of my YouTube. Sorry, snorting Drano gets me going. Either way, Badlands Chug's only the last of the few, the last of the legends, the last of the people that can consume edibles and liquids really fast. On your mark, game face, get set, Marge Simpson face. Never even heard of the Now Boys. I'm gonna try and do free flow, never stop, and this ain't even gonna touch my mouth. This ain't even gonna touch my mouth. Shoe nice. It might touch my mouth. It might touch. Shoe nice. Yay, he. Na hee haw.
That was disturbing. I don't think I'm going to be interviewing that guy. He said he wants to come on my channel. He knows who I am. Dr. Bernard, such a conspiracy. Please look it up, Drew. I do not like PETA. They kill millions of animals, calling it mercy killings. Okay. Let's see. I can't unhide Chris's channel or Chris's comment, but he says, I'll come on right now and break down the blood work and bullshit that Mike said. I don't have time today. I have to get on down to San Diego. Wow, that video was crazy. What did you guys think of that guy? Should I interview Shoe Nice? His videos look disturbing. Exactly. Yeah, we need to get that Neil Barnard lead to CMC Broadcasting. RIP to the channel, the old 40K channel. Man, I hope Charles is doing okay, man. He seems like he's having a pretty rough time lately. I like Charles a lot. I hope he's doing all right. All right, we are going to cut the stream here, guys. Thank you all for showing up. Chris, we'll talk later about the blood test situation, vegan deterioration. Thank you for showing up. Of course, I love your stuff. And everybody else, appreciate the support today. And hopefully we see you maybe Saturday or Sunday. I don't know what guests I'm going to have. Wacko Jacko can't make it. And we'll see what pans out. I may have to just do a solo stream. So, other than that, I'm going to leave you with the Narcos beat, and you guys have a good rest of your week. Thank you.